And they were a willing conspirator in the cover-up of the White House so they could get their agenda done without any interference. So they all knew what they were doing. They profited from what they're doing. And now it's coming out. So everyone's trying to say, I guess if you say I was complacent, but I didn't really know is a better thing than saying, no, I was wrong, because none of you should be allowed to tell anybody anything. Mm-hmm. You shouldn't be allowed to be a journalist anymore. There should be trials. Congress likes to sit on steps for 8 hours to pass the time. I got a few things you could do with the people who willingly acted on a coup of the people of the United States we had an unfit person, they knew he was unfit, and they all got together and they worked together to make money and get these crazy agendas across at the expense of the American people, fleecing our country of money. Guys have profited from it, and then you have the balls to come up there and talk about we might have missed it. I'm sorry, on behalf of the West, I will never go to some, but on behalf of America, you.
Want to get it off your chest? You're in the right place. They accuse this show of being run by boobs. Well, let me tell you about us boobs. We're real and we're spectacular. Want politics and fun sprinkled with a lot of laughs? Heard in every state in the Union and 1,000 cities around the world. We just finished 16 years of broadcast excellence, now in our 17th year. The Dave Weinbaum Show is streaming live all over the world. Glorious day, America. Trump's first terrorist deal with the UK has been signed, apparently, and he is presenting it today. China has initiated talks after playing coy. Trump refuses to reduce China's 145% tariff on account of them rescinding the agreement with Biden to stop fentanyl trafficking. Those who didn't panic and sell everything we're all tempted to do, are better off now and don't have a big amount of taxes to pay from selling out. There's 1,300 or 130 other countries who want a deal. And time is chipping into the pressure of being under the radar for the best deals. Trump's ratings are going to go up so far. What morons in the Trump administration will vote against the great big bill? That includes a fabulous tax break, which goes out after the vote. Voting may be by Republican and many Dems will surely kill the re-election experiences. They vote against this bill, these guys are probably done. Like the Boston Celtics are finding out, if left without their giants, they won't prevail in the end. The Knicks are kicking their arse with their giants. Let's not make the same mistake with a soaring America. Republicans in Congress who vote no must go.
Tyrus, I know. It's like it was even hard to cover it for our perspective because it's so dead. It used to be something.
It's not. I get invited every year, and I'm dyslexic, so when they ask me to do RSVP, I always write FU. It's the dyslexia. They don't need a comedian because the whole thing's a joke. And you've got to be at the bottom of the pool when you're getting someone from the Jackson 5 to come out and speak on your behalf. And I'd also like to say he's one of the bravest men I have ever seen who's willing to have a jerry curl in a white suit. That is, he's letting his soul glow.
Okay, we got a great show today, and I don't have to look on the screen to wonder when JJ's coming on because, well, look who's here. He popped in without us knowing. Mm-hmm. Welcome to the show, sir.
Thank you.
And we're going to start off with you right away after I introduce everyone else. Chris Adamo is going to be on at about 9:30. Bob Bullett Willis, got a lot to talk about in the economy and such. And Richard Lockwood, the man who knows everything about space travel and not illegal aliens, but space aliens. He's got his whole family in this. So this is going to be great because now I get to introduce a man who is, he's old enough to know that 6 years after he was, or before he was born, was when they formed the first Marine group. Was it 250 years ago, wasn't it?
It was over 250, yeah.
Yeah, and you're 6 years older, so you probably didn't do that one, but you've done it. You are a military person who has served, and we appreciate that service. And you're also 256 years old, which is incredible because that I think you're being referred to in the Doge as someone who has been getting secrets. Social Security since the Revolutionary War. Congratulations to you on that. Now, with that said, I want you to welcome a man who is an expert on the Constitution, J.J. Bradshaw. Thank you. What's on your mind, sir?
I'm glad to be here. You mentioned in your monologue that we're working on a deal with the Brits. They apparently have capitulated. So that segues right into what I was going to start talking about, and that is Trump's capability of negotiating. Now, we've got the Houthis that have been attacking shipping in the Red Sea from Yemen and other places. And Trump told them a couple of months ago, we're going to bomb the hell out of you if you keep doing this. Of course, they kept doing that. And true to his word, he bombed the hell out of them. Well, they have capitulated and sued for peace and have said, we will stop attacking your shipping in the shipping lanes of the Red Sea if you will stop bombing us. Trump said, okay. Now, there's always an ace up his sleeve when he negotiates. Never play poker with this guy. What he hasn't said was this. He knows that the Houthis are going to violate this, just like Hamas violated the ceasefire in Gaza. He knows they're going to. So what's he doing? He is amassing military strength in the Red Sea and for bases around the Red Sea so that when they violate this, he can go in and wipe them slick. It's very much the same thing as Netanyahu did in Gaza.
I want to add something.
Sure.
The Houthis aren't doing this on their own.
Well, this is Iran. Of course.
And that's the real measure because they have loads of stuff left. Nobody's destroyed their hoard of stuff. So the drones and all the missiles keep going to Houthi land. And guess what happens? It continues. and Israel is at risk as well.
Yes.
And so the real target, I believe, and Trump knows this,
Iran.
I think that's where he's going with this Red Sea kind of thing.
Of course.
Or, he's going right. His strategy is to isolate what he did in 2016, and that's to isolate Iran. And their population, the Persians, they hate this group in there. They hate them.
Yes,
they love
do.
Israel. They love America. And he knows that too.
They liked the way things were back when the Shah was in power.
That's right.
It was a pretty
benevolent as compared to what it is now.
A benevolent dictatorship, yes. Trump is playing chess when these other guys are playing checkers.
Yeah.
He has negotiated something with the Houthis, and he's talking to Iran about a little bit of peace, a little bit of get rid of your nukes. I think Iran sweetened the pot by instructing the Houthis to back down. They won't stay down for very long. They'll attack again. So Trump, my hat's off to the guy because he is a hell of a negotiator, and he's thinking 3 or 4 moves ahead, the way a good chess player would.
Yes.
So there is method to his madness, at least for the time being. U.S. shipping will not be attacked in the Red Sea. Now, the Houthis did say, oh, by the way, we still reserve the right to attack Israeli and other flag vessels.
That ain't gonna hold.
Not for very long, no. Benjamin Netanyahu is going to allow that for about this long.
Yeah.
And then bad things are going to happen. Yeah. So is that an inflammatory place? Yes. Is it a place where World War III might start? Yes.
You got India and Pakistan fighting for some reason.
Fixing to talk about that.
Oh, I'm sorry.
You're stealing my thunder, Dave.
Okay.
That was the very next thing. India and Pakistan have hated each other since 1947, when India and Pakistan were divided up in the Raj Treaty, when the Brits walked away from India. And they hate each other. India is a reasonably peaceful country. It is a prosperous country. Has an awful lot of people in it. Pakistan, on the other hand, is divided from India by a mountain range. And in that mountain range are some pretty bad folks, some Muslims that if they had a nuke, they would throw it at India. Yeah. Thank God Western Pakistan has a nuke and not the folks in the mountains. So they hate each other. They've been fighting each other for decades. And Pakistan did some bad things. India lobbed, I think, a bunch of missiles into 9 different places there.
Yeah.
That was called Operation Sindoor, and was aimed at Kashmir, where an awful lot of terrorist-type folks who hate India live. So we've got a little thing brewing there. It's not only the Middle East, it's the Far East. What else we got going on? Well, we still got a war going on in the Ukraine.
Yeah.
We're still negotiating with Russia, trying to get Putin to back off.
And Trump is threatening to drop it. You know,
yeah.
And it's now to Putin. It's up to Putin now. He says it's going to be a 3-day ceasefire, but he's not sure when, because it's too hard to translate the information back and forth.
Well, he claims
so it's going to take a long time.
He claims
in the meanwhile, he's bombing the hell out of
Ukrainians. Yeah,
right.
Now, the Ukraine, on the other hand, has the capability to reach well into Russia.
Yeah,
and they have demonstrated with missile strikes that are not very far from Moscow. If I was Putin, I would be concerned about that, because if you start to dominate in the Ukraine, if you start to steamroll to the west in the Ukraine, what is a desperate Ukrainian president going to do? He's going to lob some missiles into Moscow and say, don't do this. Don't do this to my country.
Right.
If you remember, they gave Crimea away. And then Joe Biden came in and said, well, if you just take a little bit of territory, it's probably all right.
That's after Crimea.
After Crimea.
Yeah.
Here comes Donald Trump and says, no mas, we're not doing this anymore. And you need to figure out a way to get out of this war in a reasonable fashion, or very bad things are going to happen to you. He's not specific, at least not in public, on what he would consider doing to the Russians. But consider, we've got sanctions already. We've got him talking about nobody buying Russian natural gas. Nobody. Shutting that thing off. That's about a fourth of their economy.
Yeah.
So he's squeezing this thing down pretty tight.
Yeah.
He's also doing the same thing to the Iranians. A large bit of Iran's income is from petroleum exports. They have a lot of it.
Sure.
And a bunch of Europe and Asia buy it, either in liquefied form or pipelined in.
And China, too.
And China.
That's right.
So you see how this thing all kind of stitches together?
We got the perfect guy as president. Perfect. And he's also made a deal now, allegedly, with Zelensky for all the rich minerals they have.
The minerals.
All right. So that, and now if that takes place in a fairly new period of time, that's another measure of Americans being there.
Yes.
And if they start killing Americans there, they're going to have a problem. They're going to have a war.
Yes, they are.
Okay.
And it's deeper even than that. That deal is going to involve several $1 billion in the first couple of years. It's going to take a year or so to spin this thing up and get it going.
Yes.
We're talking billions of dollars of investment in Ukraine from the United States of America. This is not shipping them armaments. This is not shipping them ammunition. This is investment in their infrastructure in Ukraine.
Right.
And the profits that Ukraine make from that go back to paying off the United States for all the money we invested in the Biden administration and others. So Trump, again, has negotiated a hell of a deal.
Guess who loses?
Well, Putin, obviously.
China.
The Chinese as well.
Chinese has these same minerals.
They do.
And their lands.
It's not a zero-sum game.
No, but it's
it does tilt.
If you look at the connections, always look at the connections, follow the money.
Yes.
And see who wins and who loses. Mm-hmm. And you see what Trump's doing. That's an interesting thing. I wish they'd teach that at colleges, like maybe Harvard.
Don't you wish? Well, Harvard won't be teaching much of anything. They're running out of money.
Doesn't look like it, does it?
But the way this thing has been stitched together by Trump and some very smart people that advise him. Okay, he's not alone in this. But this is all stitched together so nicely around China and Russia.
Yeah.
Our two biggest adversaries besides Iran. Iran, at some point, will probably end up nuking them. It's just a matter of time. But Trump, all he's got to do now is start pulling these strings, and this whole thing shrinks like a sphincter.
Yeah.
Right around Putin.
And we come out the winners.
We should, yeah. Now, what's going to be the side effects? We're probably going to have to endure a little inflation. We're probably going to have to endure a mild recession. I believe it'll be global recession as a result of tariffs. He's thought this stuff out.
Yeah.
We can survive this. Now let's go and segue into the next thing I was going to talk about, which is China's economy.
Right.
China's economy has been a fragile thing. It's a big, big economy, but they have manipulated the value of the yuan for decades now. So they're upside down in their commercial real estate market. Yeah. They continue to build to this day buildings that no one wants to occupy.
Cities.
They're empty cities. That's an investment there is no return for.
Yeah.
The residential market is crashed because the Chinese people realize, many of them anyway, the ones with money, that they're better off putting that money in savings than they are purchasing real estate, which has an iffy resale value. Right. In the United States, real estate, you can figure 2, 3, 4% every year gain in value.
Yeah, at least.
Not so much in China.
Right.
It's a very iffy market. And the Chinese citizens, even though they're under a dictatorship, their money is still their money. They invest it where they wish. Now,
and most of them are pissed off.
They're unhappy.
Now they don't want that either. China.
They've been unhappy since COVID.
Yeah.
So China, like I said, they manipulate their currency. They're talking about a 5% increase in GDP and have talked about that every year. Victor Davis Hanson wrote an article the other day, which was so well done, which said maybe 1%, 1.2%, 1.4% increase, maybe, depending on how the tariffs go. China's export business is shrinking, not only the United States, but globally.
Yeah.
You got people that haven't been paid since January. You got factories that are shutting down because there's no place to put the output. You've got Pacific Transport, the
Right.
big transport ships that have slowed down to nothing. What's that going to do to us? Well, it's going to hurt our longshoremen. It's going to hurt our over-the-road truckers. All of that input stuff that
Sure.
we got. But our economy is much, much stronger than China's.
Yeah.
If it comes down to a waiting game, who's going to blink first?
Yeah.
I bet you a nickel, Dave, it'll be the Chinese.
And the Democrats.
I hope so. Are we going to take a hit as a result? Yes, I think we are. But I think it's
I'm not sure.
a reasonably small hit.
I'm not sure. I think Trump has really been strict with them. You know, they asked Trump if he says, you know what, this stuff about them saying that they're not talking to us. He says that's crap.
Well,
He says we got all the information, we got all the notes from meetings way long ago. They want a deal badly,
mhm.
and they asked him, "Well, what are you going to rescind the 145% tariff you put on them?"
Maybe.
He says no.
After.
He says no. Maybe when we make a deal,
Yes.
they're going to enforce on fentanyl.
After the deal.
That was a good thing to put in there.
After the deal.
Yeah.
The man is a top negotiator.
Oh yeah.
And he's tough as nails.
Yeah.
And the
He's
guy
a business guy.
The
Come
guy
on.
is bombastic. He opens his mouth too much. There's all these negative things about him. Do I hate him? Absolutely not. He's the best president we've had since Ronald Reagan.
Yeah.
Why? Because he's not afraid to walk up to these guys and punch them in the face.
Yeah.
Good. We needed that. If you consider the Obamas of this world and the Bidens of this world, who went on an apology tour for us being the greatest nation in the world, went on an apology tour. Give us a break. This is a guy that says we're the best. If you
Damn
want to
right.
do business with us, you're going to do it on our terms.
Damn right.
And he's going to make it stick.
And those guys were the leaders of the anti-Americans.
Yes.
And to this day, you've got them, knocking down statues of famous people,
Mhm.
changing names of military forts that we have and things
Yeah,
like that.
Yes.
How outrageous is that?
It's swinging back the other
It's
way.
swinging
Dave.
back. You got it.
It is.
And what's that? What's that water by Mexico called now?
Oh, that's the Gulf of America.
Oh, not Mexico anymore.
Oh, no.
That's so significant. That is so. I mean, it's incredibly a great move.
And he
And-
stirred the pot with that.
And he stirred the pot. We're getting ready to go to war. I'm pretty sure with the people in Mexico now who were moved out of there,
Mhm.
trying to get into the United States. With them trying to get the drugs smuggled in and human sacrifices, human trafficking.
Trafficking. Yeah.
Right.
So the president of Mexico, who is a lady, by the way, pretty smart lady.
Sheinbaum,
Yes.
Jewish girl.
Yes, she is. which I think is significant when you get right down to it. That's a piece
Right.
of trivia that I just love.
Well, yeah, but
She,
she's being controlled by them. She's
Well-
scared to death of them, I'm sure.
I'm sure that she is.
Yeah.
But Trump said, let me make you an offer. We'll send troops down there to
They
take
will,
care
yeah.
of the cartels. All you got to do is say, okay. And she said, oh, no, we can't have that. We are a sovereign country.
Yeah,
Well, Ms. Scheinbaum, we are a sovereign country as well.
and you're attacking us if that's
And you
true.
have been attacking us.
Yeah.
You have been sending people we didn't ask for across the border.
Yeah.
You have been sending drugs across the border. You have been sending your thugs across the border.
and children.
At what point do we say, no mas?
Yeah,
No mas, you're not going to do this anymore. Well, we're at the first stage of that because we shut the border down,
that's right.
or pretty much anyway.
Yeah.
Step number 2, now you go after the cartels. And
Well, they
we've
have
got
designated them as a terrorist organization.
bingo.
So we have a terrorist organization attacking us from your country.
Yeah.
If you can't do something about it, we will.
We
and we'll do
will.
it when we say we're going to.
Yeah.
When we think we want to do it.
See, this is Donald Trump's negotiating.
Yeah.
Whether he actually does something about it, really irrelevant at this point.
Well, he's got everybody talking about it.
Yeah.
And they can't figure it out. He's too fast for them.
Everybody in the world is talking about it. And here's Ms. Sheinbaum stuck in between a rock and a hard place.
Yes.
She's got the cartels on one side that said, we're going to continue to do business. She's got Donald Trump on the other side saying, we're going to shut your business down.
Sure.
And here she is, the elected representative of Mexico, stuck in the middle. What's she going to do? Who's she going to side with? Who's going to win? Donald Trump.
Of course.
Of course he is. Yeah. It's a matter of time. And she's going to see that handwriting on the wall and say, yeah, you know, maybe I ought to kind of lean right here and go with Donald.
Hey, you want to stay a little later today? I don't have an 8:10 or 8:40. I've got the rabbi is in flight, I believe, to America.
If you and I want to have a conversation that continues, we shall do so.
Let's do a set of commercials. Go ahead.
I was wondering if I could, before we do commercials, ask a question. I was curious JJ's perspective on this. Talking about how Trump handles things like the shrewdness, like he's thinking long term, right?
Oh yeah.
What do you think was more shrewd? And you maybe take a minute during the commercial break to think about it and come back to it. Was renaming the Gulf of Mexico Gulf of America, or the way he's handling the terrorists and the cartels by naming them terrorist organizations, and that then allows them to go after them militarily? Because
no question, I know the answer to that right off. It's going after the cartel.
Okay, I thought I felt the same way, but I was curious.
One was PR, and that's all it is PR. The other one has some teeth behind it, and I think he's going to go after them tooth and nail just as soon as he gets some kind of glimmer from Mexico that they're not going to try to retaliate against us.
All right, let's go to commercial. We'll be back in a couple of minutes and with JJ Bradshaw, so don't go away.
Your home is your castle. You don't need unwanted hassle. Don't let those creatures move in to stay. Let us protect your investments. That's what we're all about. Plank Termite and Pest Control will save the day. Plank is locally owned and family operated right here in Rolla, a Google preferred business. Our customer service and your satisfaction is our #1 goal. So call Plank today at 368-3333. Plank Termite and Pest Control will save the day.
Honey, what are you doing?
What does it look like I'm doing?
It looks like you're filling up a swimming pool.
Yep, I'm filling up a swimming pool.
In our living room?
How else am I going to watch the game and stay cool?
If your AC is on the fritz, call Hartley's Climate Control. Hartley's is the area's best in HVAC repairs, installs, and maintenance. Knowledgeable, honest, and dependable. Serving Rolla and the surrounding areas for commercial or residential needs. Hartley's Climate Control. Community born, community raised, community serving.
Call Hartley's Climate Control today at 573-368-3163.
Never be too coy to tell your friends and family about koi sushi and hibachi. Celebrate the best Chinese-Japanese restaurant in the Midwest. Call 573-426-5551 to make a reservation or order takeout. Locally owned, 1808 North Bishop, Rolla, Missouri.
We can sum up McDonald's new crispy chicken sandwich in one word. Crispy, but also juicy and tender. Okay, it's crispy, juicy, tender, all one word. But then, also pickle. Oh, and potato bun, which is 2 words. Okay, we can't sum up our new crispy chicken sandwich in one word, so you'll just have to try it to understand it. Order ahead on the McDonald's app at participating McDonald's. Ba-da-ba-ba-ba.
Merrill's Quarry and Asphalt, 40 years serving cities, counties, and everyday businesses with driveways for people who live and work in our little piece of heaven right smack dab in the middle of America. Call 573-578-9101 for your free estimate of rocking, rolling, paving, driveways, sealing, and striping too. That's 573-578-9101 for your free estimate.
Your home is your castle. You don't need unwanted hassle. Don't let those creatures move in to stay. Let us protect your investments, that's what we're all about. Plank Termite and Pest Control will save the day. Plank is locally owned and family operated right here in Rolla, a Google preferred business. Our customer service and your satisfaction is our number one goal. So call Plank today at 368-3333. Plank Termite and Pest Control will save the day.
At your locally owned Price Chopper, our standards are high because we know yours are. See for yourself what an incredible fresh selection of grocery items we have in store. Talk to our expert meat associates about what you're looking for. They're happy to meet any special requests like custom cuts, or see our expert produce associates on how to pick out the best fruits and vegetables. Quality in the deli means fresh, full flavor, and always delicious. If you're craving fresh baked goodness, we have that too. You can expect the best selection and the best value while interacting with our friendly and knowledgeable employees. You can find what you're looking for fast and easily at the best prices at Price Chopper. Fresh savings every day. A-Car Real Estate, where experience matters. 532 million sold since 2003, the number one sales volume in Phelps County. As a client for decades, I can say they are the best in mid-Missouri. Call 573-368-7355. That's 573-368-7355 for the best real estate experience you'll ever have. Gotta reach 'em, see it right now. Insurance going up like crazy? Daniel and Henry Insurance is one of the largest private insurance companies in the world. Richard Boyette, 314-444-5011. He's my guy at Daniel and Henry for 10 years. Business or personal, call Richard at 314-444-5011. He's the best.
Maybe it's for a kitchen you've always wanted. Maybe it's just to have a little extra room. Whatever the reason you're considering a new home loan, it's good to know that Town & Country Bank will guide you in the right direction. Our experienced local lenders are here to help you with a new home construction, remodeling projects, and fixed and adjustable rate home loans. You can even start the process online by clicking Online Mortgage Center at tcbanks.com. Smart, friendly solutions. Town & Country Bank. Member FDIC, Equal Housing Lender.
The fact that they're trying to give the lying son of a bitch who got up there from Axios any kind of flowers, we missed it. Yeah, that's like your wife saying, honey, he just put the tip in. Okay? You are...
Talking about the restaurant bill.
Yes. What else would I be talking about, Greg?
Yeah, so I just want to make sure. Well,
hold on. Y'all know something I don't know what's going on in my house?
Tips included. The tips included.
Thank you, Greg. And emotional was a great call. That's what I would have went with. But they are, Eric Bischoff, he did a lot of things in the wrestling world and entertainment world. He messaged me the other day and he said, hey, man, we got to stop saying fake news with them because it's too light. President Trump is a joke now. When your kid tells a story, you go fake news. They were the propaganda machine of the extreme left. It's propaganda.
All right, we're back. And I thought that was an interesting thing to put in there. It was scheduled on it as the third clip anyway. So what the hell? I thought we had that going on that, hey, if Trump pissed in that Mexican Gulf they said they had, the next day it became the American Gulf. So something is about that. What is that about?
I don't
JJ?
know what that's about, but
how does that affect his world stature that he could go in and name a Gulf that we shared that's always been the Gulf of Mexico into now the Gulf of America?
This is my genitals are larger than your genitals, Donald J. Trump.
Yeah.
And nobody's willing to call him on it because nobody wants to see him. Easy as that. You recall that nasty rumor that Donald Trump had rented a hotel room and peed in the bed that Barack Obama had slept in? I love the image. I'm not sure that was actually accurate in any way.
I don't think so.
And he was supposedly in there with a couple of hookers. He doesn't need a couple of hookers. Look what he's got at home. So, yeah, that was all BS, okay? But I love the image.
Yeah.
And I love the image of him peeing into the Gulf of Mexico, and by a miraculous...
Some cartoonist ought to give me credit for that, because I can't draw worth a darn.
Somebody's going to do it.
Yeah, they ought to do it. Yeah.
They won't credit you.
A picture of him taking a whiz while it's and the thing floating off that says Gulf of Mexico, and the other thing being shipped in. That's now the Gulf of America.
Okay, if we're going to do that, we got to stretch that a little further.
Yeah,
and have Benjamin Netanyahu taking a pee in a pond in Gaza and saying, "This is now Israel."
Yeah,
I mean, why not?
Yeah, why not? For goodness sakes, it was Israel at one point, I think.
It was.
And Ariel Sharon, God rest his soul, decided that we were going to solve the two-state situation, and it took all the Jews out, even the dead Jews that were buried. The graves. Moved them all out and declared, okay, here it is. Go with it. This is yours.
And they had free and fair election and elected Hamas and have not had a single election since then.
Yeah.
What does that tell you about the Palestinians?
Well, it also tells you after the day of and following days, those people were, the people in Gaza were almost united in being loving watching these Jews get murdered, their heads cut off, babies murdered, IDF, and they were actually beating dead people. You saw there's pictures of them beating dead people in pickup trucks.
Hamas, bad enough.
Women.
But remember that this thing was run by the Palestinian Authority for the longest time. And what is the Palestinian Authority? It's Hamas. It's the same thing.
They didn't do anything about it.
They're anti-Jew, no question about it. So
it's run by Abbas. Always been anti-Semitic.
The point at this point in time, though, is that Benjamin Netanyahu is now at least considering taking that thing over and having a limited government until they can get on their own feet. Yeah. Does this start to smell like a two-state solution to you?
Well, that's. I can't believe they'd go back to the same old thing. I think there's an implication here that God was not in favor of them having a ceasefire every other year or every year just about,
and having it violated,
and have somebody they're going to bomb us in Israel, and we're gonna throw some bombs over there, and then they'll seek for a ceasefire. And Israel accepts, and then they get like billions of dollars,
and then they violate it again.
And then they do it again. And it was like 17 or 18, until they opened up on them at 23. And the reason why they got so amazed about doing it then was that Iran just had 5 American hostages and sold them back to the U.S. for $1.6 billion each.
Yes,
and they got to be looking at this saying, "Wow,
this is our new source of income.
This is income right here.
Yeah,
we can't pass this up.
So let's take a whole bunch of Israelis hostage, and let's see what we can get for them."
That's
the deal.
Joe Biden is the gift that still keeps on giving.
Man is an idiot.
And the American press, I don't think they want to interview him much anymore, because he's doing an interview with BBC.
Did you watch that thing?
I heard clips of it.
It was edited, kind of like the 60 Minutes thing with Kamala.
It was
edited. Yes, it was edited.
He's not going to do anything live anymore.
Oh, good Lord, no, Dave. He comes off as retarded.
Yeah.
Retarded. The man is a fool. The man is an idiot. He's a doddering fool. So, of course, he's not going to do anything like that.
And people are saying, well, he's old. He was always like this. He was always an idiot.
I'm older
Maybe-
than him,
Yeah.
and I'm still lucid, or at least
You're
reasonably
not older
so.
than I am.
Of course I am. 256 years
Oh,
old.
that's right. That's
This
right.
fool's only 80 something. I mean, I'm running circles
I forget
around
my own
him.
BS. That's terrible.
Yeah.
It's not good when you forget your own BS.
Yeah.
That calls for something to be checked on right there.
Recall that you
you
started
go.
that shtick, not
Yeah,
me.
that's true.
Yeah.
Listen to him. He's shtick. He's
The
doing.
shtick, yeah.
He thinks he's a Jewish comedian.
No,
over
I'm a Gentile, but
Gentile
I've been
comedian,
hanging
right.
around with a Jew for a while.
Yeah, I know.
The-
Now I'm jealous. Who's that?
The point though is he did this BBC thing.
Yeah.
He came off looking badly, even though it was edited.
Sure.
Kamala is famous for the word salad. Joe is famous for stumbling over the simplest sentence and turning it to something unintelligible. Okay, would he do that? Would he do an interview with, say, Newsmax or Breitbart?
Oh, no.
Of course not.
Of course not.
Because they're going to ask the pointed questions. The
Yeah.
BBC threw him a bunch of softballs.
They bury him.
And Joe is very much wants to be relevant, but relevant to what?
Yeah.
I'm afraid history has passed him by and shown him to be a fool.
Do you know anything about Candace Owens?
Yeah, a little bit.
Okay, I actually have had some contact with her
I
before.
kind of like Candace Owens.
I like her too. I threw a few things in her, and she responded.
Mhm.
And then she got married to a guy in England, and ever since that time, she's become an anti-Semite.
Kind of, yeah.
I don't know what's going on in her mind that how she could change that much.
Has that been there all the time, and it's just now floating to the surface?
What
What
you
do
know
you
what?
think?
I saw her as a strong, minded person, and it seems to me like she's been influenced by her marriage. Okay, I get it, but to flout it out there that the Jews are terrible and all this, and the Jews have no business killing all those Gazans. Sure, they do. They got attacked. They got attacked.
You can
come
have those
on.
thoughts, but keep them to yourself. You're
Well,
a person that is in the public image.
I don't mind that. She's shown herself. I once thought she'd make a hell of a vice president to Trump.
Yeah. See,
And
I
I
always
said so.
I thought of her back when Trump was running as an
Yeah.
ambassador to somewhere,
Yeah.
maybe to the United Nations or some other country.
Oh, she'd fit for Iran maybe these days, but
Yeah, maybe. Maybe. Although if we're going to do an ambassador to Iran, let's just send Ilhan Omar over there and
Sure.
leave her.
yeah,
Just leave
just
her.
leave her.
yeah,
Yeah.
just leave her.
Yeah,
Put
she's
on
here.
a veil.
She's here to make sure, and she said this recently that Somalia is treated right in the world. Not it doesn't say a word about America, but we need to have that. That's where she's from,
Yes,
Somalia.
Yes.
We need to make Somalia a great country, great again. Sort of like a MAGA thing for Somalia.
And how are you going to do
And,
that?
well, you kill the Jews apparently
Is that
because
it?
that's what she wants
Is that
to do.
all it's going to take?
Yeah.
If we kill the Jews,
Yeah,
we'll be a great
and
country.
she's walking down the street, and this journalist asked her a question,
that.
and she said something, and he says, "What did you say?" He says, "Go F yourself,"
Yes.
and said the right words to that,
Mhm.
and the guy was a little stunned.
Don't do that on an open mic. People do these stupid things all the time.
Well, but
How
that
about silence?
but she wasn't being stupid. She was
Oh,
she
she
was
was
in.
serious.
She had to say it twice.
Mhm.
All right, and all these other the Democrats are doing this,
Mhm.
and it's Trump is down. He's up a little bit. He's up about 2%, and that's pretty good. That's before the
Oh yeah, but the
the
other
deal,
guys are down
but
27.
they're down like 20, 30%,
27%.
and they're close to zero,
Yeah.
and they have nothing going for them. Who?
Democrats
Who
right
do they
now
have?
are the lowest since they've been keeping records.
Yeah.
That's 3 decades
Yeah.
of polling data, and they're at the bottom of it. Why is that, Dave? Well, they don't have anybody that's a leader. There's nobody that's come out to the front of the Democrat Party and say, I am the one.
Yeah.
They've got a bunch of contenders, but they're all bozos. Number 2, you got a Democrat National Committee that's co-chaired by David Hogg.
Yeah.
Oh, please. If you did a random drawing of everyone in the United States and were just pull a slip out and say, okay, you're it, how the hell did you end up with him?
He's in charge of $20 million.
That's right. And
Okay.
they're fixing to kick him out. And if
Yeah.
you listen to Carville, and I love Carville, he's a nut job, all right? But Carville really is the spokesman for the
Yeah.
middle of the Democrat Party.
Still a dope.
He is. He's
He's
not
a
a
moron.
moron. He's a smart guy.
I don't
but
know.
he is-
Okay, he's a clever guy.
He is way
I won't go
out
with
there.
smart with him.
He's way out
Not
there.
once.
And he is saying, this David Hogg guy,
Yeah.
maybe we ought to flush him and put somebody that's a little more mainstream.
Well, he's going
in
to
his
flush
place.
himself, and that's going to tear the party even more apart.
That was my point.
Oh,
Every
okay.
time these people open their mouths,
I hate it when
they get a little worse.
don't you hate it when somebody interrupts the middle of your story with the beginning of theirs? See, that's me.
Well, no, the point is you and I are thinking alike on
That's
this
true.
stuff.
Oh, we
And
have for a
we're
while.
Parallel.
How long have we been doing this?
I don't know.
16 years, I think.
I started calling in KTTR,
Yeah.
and I was your first caller for a long time.
There you go.
And then KKID,
Yeah,
because I wanted to get it off my chest.
there you go.
And I do. This little bit, this just keeps me
And-
sane, Dave. I am
Oh,
not.
me too.
I am not a
swear to
serial
God.
killer as a result
there
of
you
being
go.
able to vent every
I was very
Friday,
worried about you the
Yeah.
first time.
as you should.
Are you okay?
But yeah, I'm okay. Yeah, I'm
No,
okay.
that's what I think I asked. Are you okay? Because you sound really mad, angry.
Oh,
You're
no,
not going
no,
to hurt
no.
anybody, are you?
Gotta let this stuff.
I
out.
don't remember the first time you called. I swear to God. I had, in fact, my wife, I hired her apparently in the late 1970s. The late 1970s
Oh yeah,
at
at
McDonald's.
Yeah, she was just a kid.
She was 16 years old.
You old pervert.
Now, excuse me, but, and I'm being honest about this. I don't remember her.
Yeah, she didn't like you.
She hated me.
How the hell did you do that turnaround?
I re-met her in what year was it? It was 2014, I believe it was 2013 or
Make
14.
sure you get it right.
Yeah, please do. She'll be listening.
Are you listening, honey?
She'll
Honey,
listen.
baby?
She'll listen to the podcast.
No, she won't. So she's busy. She's got her own stuff to do.
Oh, she'll listen to it coming back because that's evidence.
So I just been in my show September 21st of I think 2013 or 14, and probably 2013, and I said, you know what, I've been single for a while. I don't care. I went on a few dates, and I just didn't feel it. I didn't. I just was fine being alone, and I went on the show that morning and said, you know what, I'm okay with being alone. I'm fine with it. I'm not made out for marriage somehow. And that night I go to Colton's, and I want to watch a ball game because if I don't have to cook for myself, why should I? Right? Bring a bottle of wine.
There we
leave
go.
Leave the bottle of wine as one of the tips for the bartender and stuff like that. So there's 2 empty seats at the end, and one of them is with a purse, and there's that empty seat. So I didn't want to sit on the end. Plus, I saw this gal there and figured it was her purse, and so I said, "Do you mind moving your purse?" And she says, "Yeah." Pulls it over and takes it over there and keeps on talking. And so I had the bartender pour her a glass of wine, and she got the wine, and where's it from? And the bartender points at me. She looks at me like this. "Oh, you're Dave Weinbaum. I hated you." Okay, girls, I gotta go.
Yeah,
They convinced her to stay.
This is a great introduction.
Okay,
Yeah, I'm really scoring some points here. Yeah, of course.
Yeah. So okay. So they made her stay, right? And it made her talk. I said, "Why do you hate me so much?" She said, "Because you were nasty to everybody," and this, that, and the other. I probably was a little nasty at that time. I'm in a restaurant business, and I'm trying to get people. I don't know. It was the 70s, and I was all alone because all the other McDonald's were elsewhere.
Yeah.
And if I ran out of stuff, it was a nightmare because I mean I never ran out of anything because you couldn't get it. You'd have to send people out to Jeff City or to Springfield or to St. Louis. So we started to get along for some reason, and I think we were meant to be together. I think that's what it was. I think it was an act of God because of my attitude and her attitude. What are the odds of that happening?
You married way up.
Well, yeah.
So did I.
Yeah.
I did too as well, so I
Yes.
can't complain.
Yeah.
42 years for me.
He better get in on that or else.
Oh yeah, trust me.
Yeah.
And
I'll bet you.
So that's proof with Lisa in that story that first impressions, you can overcome them even if they don't go well.
Oh, that could be her. Is it?
Somebody named Melissa, so.
Oh yeah, forget about it.
Okay.
She's calling with sales.
Oh.
Great, don't you know I have a show?
Well, it's on a different day technically, so.
Yeah, that's true.
Yeah.
Well, I thought I announced it to everybody. So, all right.
Yeah, but only the people that were listening. Yeah.
Well, we're doing pretty good
Let's
here.
go back to politics for a minute.
All right, let's do it. Wait, we got some stuff on the board.
Okay.
And a lot of times it's for you, and there are at least 3 or so, maybe more. Wow. Sounding good, looking good. Go team. Awesome to hear our national anthem. Thanks for being the patriot that you are, Dave. Okay, well, thank you for being the pastor to the Dave Weinbaum Show, Pastor Pat. Toby Fulkerson, good morning, Bradshaw. I never call you Bradshaw. I call you JJ.
Yeah, my friend Toby.
Ann Maddox must be a relative.
My daughter.
Good morning, JJ Bradshaw, with a heart there. Oh, it's so sweet. And Roy Maddox, good morning from Oklahoma.
My son-in-law.
Look at that.
Well, we got the family listening anyway.
Yeah, and Katie.
That's granddaughter.
Maddox. Good morning, Grandpa. Glad I got to watch you. Oh, isn't that cool? See, that's what you do when you get in-house. You get all this attention. So you better do it more often. All right.
I'll wander in on occasion.
Thanks again, JJ. That's from Pastor Pat.
I'm happy to be here. Thank you, Pastor Pat.
We're happy to have you here. You know that. All right. What else you got, sir?
Yeah, SCOTUS.
SCOTUS, yes.
Donald Trump's got kind of an on-again, off-again relationship with SCOTUS, and he won one. If on 6/3, Trump had a military ban for transgender people. You remember? At one time.
6/3?
Let me continue.
Okay, go ahead. Because it's not 6/3 yet, is it?
It was 6-3 vote.
Oh, 6-3 vote. Okay,
Court.
I got it.
Okay. Obama, back in his last year of his term, admitted trans people into the military and populated the top end of the military with folks that were pro-transgender.
Really?
Okay, I'm a veteran. And I got to tell you, when I was in, there wouldn't have been anything like that ever happen. Those people would have vanished. They just would no longer exist. Friendly fire.
Yeah.
Fragged. Whatever. I was in the Navy, so they'd have gone off the side of the ship. We didn't have anything like that because it was not allowed. Okay, that's the last year of Obama. Here comes Donald Trump and says, no, we're not going to do this.
Yeah.
This is Trump's first term.
Yeah.
We're not going to do this. Soon as Trump was done, Biden opened it back up again for transgenders. So this thing ends up in front of the Supreme Court. Sonia Sotomayor, Elena Kagan,
they all voted
and
against
Jackson
Trump.
were the dissenting votes. And this policy has now been, it's not over yet, okay, but the Supremes have said the injunction that was placed by the Ninth Circuit Court, remember the Ninth Circuit, is on hold, and that he can kick transgender people out. It's not over yet because the lower courts are still gnawing on this thing.
Yeah.
But I consider this a win for Trump.
Oh, sure.
Our military, what does the military do? It breaks things and it kills people.
Yeah, and kills people.
Yeah.
And they have to focus on that. That is their mission.
There has to be discipline in the military.
Yes.
And there has to be a unified direction.
Sure.
And having a bunch of gay weirdos in the military does nothing but dilute that.
Now, wait, there could be gay people, but gay people who are transgenders and get pissed off if you say ma'am or mister, and that sets them off. Yeah, you can't have that. No. You don't have time for that. You got to train people to do what we just said.
Yep.
Kill people
and break things.
That's
what we do.
Bingo.
And in the Navy, in my time, back in the 60s and the 70s, those folks would have gone over the side. It would have been done quietly. They would have just vanished one night, and that would have been the end of that. So you're killing your own troops. Yeah, you're killing the troops that are, these people have got to have my back. I got to have their back.
Right.
Do you really trust somebody that wants to wear a skirt? I do not, unless she's a woman. In that case, I love her. But so the SCOTUS, they finally did something right for Trump. Now, it's not over yet, but it's a step in the right direction, and Trump is going to get the rest of these folks out of our military.
Yeah.
Remember, we had generals like Milley. Remember that name?
Yeah.
We don't need that.
It was my mother's name, Millie.
Really?
Yes.
She wasn't a general, though, right?
She was a general over me. I'll tell you.
Okay,
kicked my ass all over the place.
There's something to be said for that. Okay, let's go to FEMA for a minute, because if you recall, a year ago, FEMA, we had all of these hurricanes, these natural disasters, and FEMA did nothing.
Oh, wait, they gave $750 to all those people that lost their homes.
Yeah, checks in the
and
mail.
everything. Yeah, didn't they?
Checks in the mail, except your damn mailbox is gone because it was blown away by the hurricane.
That's why they didn't get it.
Of course. There is a fellow named Brian Donalds, who's a Republican of Florida, that has introduced a bill to take FEMA out of Homeland Security and make FEMA a direct report to the executive branch, direct report to the President of the United States.
With a secretary and everything. Secretary of FEMA.
Yes.
Yeah. And answered to
the President.
The President and to America. Because, this President, you watch his administration get together, and it's always televised, and there's always always the journalists are there all over the place, able to ask questions right there to any of them.
And they are asking offhand, ad hoc questions. This is not scripted.
This is a dictator, they're saying?
That's not possible.
Nobody's ever done this.
Nobody has.
Ever.
Nobody has. Cabinet meetings were always done in private.
Joe Biden had his wife do one of these.
Because Joe was not capable of speaking. Oh, my God. But the point is, since we've gone on to that, Donald Trump's cabinet meetings have got the press in there.
Sure.
Every one of those cabinet secretaries can speak their mind openly. He doesn't care. It's a discussion, okay?
He wants to hear them.
Be. Yeah.
That's the one thing that Bill Mayer said about him. He had said 63 horrible things about him, right?
Mm-hmm.
And he had them all typed up and ready to go. And he presents them to the president like he's supposed to react. And says, "Would you mind signing that, sir?" He says, "Sure." He signs it and gives it back.
Happy to.
Okay.
Frame this and put it over your desk.
Look, I was expecting to have a bad thing happen here, and it wasn't like that. It was like, okay, I criticized him, and he says, "Well, that's interesting," and it wasn't like he says, "I couldn't see myself do this with President Obama
no, of course not,
or with Biden or any other president, even the Bushes." He says, I could see where I could relate to this guy, even though we didn't agree on everything. He wasn't lecturing me. He treated me as a person,
as an equal.
As an equal.
As an equal.
And what more can you expect? The left went crazy over this.
How
dare you?
Don't you just love it?
How dare you? How can you like this monster?
Okay, back to FEMA for a minute, because this monster's doing some good stuff.
Yeah.
This guy, Brian Donalds, filed a bill. Okay. We've got Hurricane Katrina, Ian, Helene, Milton, And there are claims still outstanding in FEMA for all of those.
Wow.
Claims still outstanding.
Yeah.
You put a claim in, it gets swallowed by this bureaucracy, and you probably never see it again. That's getting fixed. Now that we've got somebody at the head of FEMA who is actively working to make this right,
Yeah.
these things are shrinking and vanishing.
Yeah.
There were, after Hurricane Milton, 900,000 calls to FEMA. 900,000. After that, half of them got returned.
Yeah.
What happened to the other half? Went in the bit bucket. Got a busy signal. We gave it to some call center in India. I don't know. But non-responsive.
Yeah.
And that is being turned around. I am so pleased about that. And the people in North Carolina who were waiting patiently for some FEMA response actually have response now.
Yeah.
They're moving the trailers in that they had staged and wouldn't give to anybody.
Right.
They're repopulating these places. Well, of course, the feds are now taking a hard look at this, and we've got the media taking a hard look at this. So there is some pressure on FEMA to act. Good. It was overdue.
Yeah, and what the amazing thing is let's use the egg example. All right, remember when Trump first got in, about 2 weeks in the all of a sudden, how come the eggs are so high, Mr. President? The eggs are so high, and you're the president. It's your responsibility. How could they be that idiotic? They were serious.
Oh yeah,
they weren't making this up as a joke.
As though the guy
had
as though he had a magic wand and could go blink. Okay, they're good now, but they've come back down. Now,
they're not talking about that though. See?
Not anymore. Of course not. But our economy is a massive thing. You don't steer that very quickly.
And you can't be upset about a day. You know, I said this in the monologue. You can't be upset if you have a bad day in the stock market and then sell it all. That there's been a lot of proof to that.
Yes.
And I used to do that back 50 years ago, 30, 40 years ago.
Mm-hmm.
Buy something, I'd make $2 on it and sell it. And then I started watching it. And I said, wait a minute, this thing is up now, like $25.
Mm-hmm.
I says, what's to stop it from going up? Nothing. Absolutely nothing except your stupid brain.
Yeah.
So I said, you know what? Look, I think there's a way to do this, and I think Warren Buffett has kind of discovered this for the most part, and that is you buy and you hold. You may never sell it.
You buy a quality company and you hold it.
But companies go through phases.
Of course,
I can tell you, McDonald's stock wasn't always this high.
But look at the overall trend, Dave. It has always been up. Some perturbations,
right?
In there.
Well, that's where I give it. This is a stock market at the beginning of time, okay, which was in 1900s or late 1800s, I think. Yeah, and so it was always like this, like this, like this, depression like that, but up and up and up. And you know what? It's never changed. The history of the stock market has been always goes up.
2008, the
Bingo.
stock market took a hit.
I didn't sell.
No, of course not.
No.
Because that hit is going to be temporary, and it was.
When I needed cash at sometimes, I did have to sell some of it, but
the smart investor in 2008
but it wasn't,
looked at this thing while it was down and said, going to buy some more of this because I know
you try to call the bottoms.
And that's a tough one.
And I try that too. And I'm pretty well. I'm not bad at it actually. I've won a lot of stuff with it.
Yeah, but look at Warren Buffett. I mean, that's exactly what he did with Berkshire Hathaway.
Pretty much. And the guy lives in a house he bought for like $40,000 or something.
Yeah, he lives like you and I do.
Yeah.
He's not in some.
he retired.
Mansion. Yeah, he just did.
94 years old.
Walked away as CEO.
Yeah.
But still one of the smartest guys on Wall Street.
Yeah.
But the whole point is, if you've got a trend that is increasing and has done so historically for years and years and years, you don't bail out when it takes a negative turn. Are we going to have another crash like we did in the Depression? No, probably not. This thing is too big. It's too massive. Any downturn is going to be ameliorated just by the mass of the entirety of it.
Ameliorated? Millery. That's the first time I've ever heard that word.
Do you know what the hell this guy is talking about? Oh, you're not listening. Okay.
You said ameliorate.
Ameliorated.
Ameliorated. Okay, I've never heard of it.
Okay.
Okay, don't explain it.
Get out your funk and wagnalls and look this thing up.
Would you get out the get the funk out of here? Is that what you just said? Hey, come on, man. That's not right. All right, so what else you got?
That's pretty much it.
All right, well, you know what? I think you did a great job. And on behalf of all the people that I have stuffed in the other office, I want to just say thank you, John Jeffrey Bradshaw.
Thank you, Dave.
Thank you. See you. All right, enough. I don't want overtime.
It has been my pleasure.
I can't afford it anymore. My friend, thank you for coming in.
Always good.
Appreciate you. And you have a great week. Hi to your lovely bride. And I hope she's feeling better after her hip replacement.
Yes, thank you.
Thank you.
She's doing okay.
Thank you. One more applause for him. And we're going to go ahead and have some more commercials. How's that? Let's do it.
Your home is your castle. You don't need unwanted hassle. Don't let those creatures move in to stay. Let us protect your investments. That's what we're all about. Plank Termite and Pest Control will save the day. Plank is locally owned and family operated right here in Rolla, a Google preferred business. Our customer service and your satisfaction is our #1 goal. So call Plank today at 368-3333. Plank Termite and Pest Control will save the day.
With warmer temperatures right around the corner and allergies ramping up, now's the time to get those AC units serviced. At Hartley's, we pride ourselves in offering outstanding service with fast response times. With proper maintenance, you can make those hot days be a lot cooler and remove those pesky allergens that always seem to find their way into your home. Call us today so you can be living a much cooler and healthier life. Hartley's, community born, community raised, community serving.
Call Hartley's Climate Control today at 573-368-3163.
Never be too coy to tell your friends and family about koi sushi and hibachi. Celebrate the best Chinese-Japanese restaurant in the Midwest. Call 573-426-5551 to make a reservation or order takeout. Locally owned, 1808 North Bishop, Rolla, Missouri.
We can sum up McDonald's new crispy chicken sandwich in one word. Crispy. But also juicy and tender. Okay, it's crispy, juicy, tender. All one word. But then, also pickle. Oh, and potato bun, which is 2 words. Okay, we can't sum up our new crispy chicken sandwich in one word, so you'll just have to try it to understand it. Order ahead on the McDonald's app at participating McDonald's. Ba-da-ba-ba-ba.
Merrill's Quarry and Asphalt, 40 years serving cities, counties, and everyday businesses with driveways for people who live and work in our little piece of heaven right smack dab in the middle of America. Call 573-578-9101 for your free estimate of rocking, rolling, paving, driveways, sealing, and striping too. That's 573-578-9101 for your free estimate.
Your home is your castle. You don't need unwanted hassle. Don't let those creatures move in to stay. Let us protect your investments. That's what we're all about. Plank Termite and Pest Control will save the day. Plank is locally owned and family operated right here in Rolla, a Google preferred business. Our customer service and your satisfaction is our #1 goal. So call Plank today at 368-3333. Plank Termite and Pest Control will save the day.
Busy schedule? Let your locally owned Price Chopper help you save time with online shopping. It's easy. Sign up to tcmarkets.com or download our mobile app in the App Store or Google Play. Create an account and browse through the categories and choose the items you need. When you place your order, your personal shopper will get all of the items you've selected, taking the same care you would and following your notes. We offer free curbside pickup, so you don't even have to get out of your car. Start your online order today and no online shopping fee for a limited time. Go to tcmarkets.com or download our mobile app to get started. Price Chopper. Fresher savings every day. A-Car Real Estate, where experience matters. 532 million sold since 2003, the #1 sales volume in Phelps County. As a client for decades, I can say they are the best in mid-Missouri. Call 573-368-7355. That's 573-368-7355 for the best real estate experience you'll ever have.
Gotta reach 'em, see it right now.
Insurance going up like crazy? Daniel and Henry Insurance is one of the largest private insurance companies in the world. Richard Boyette, 314-444-5011. He's my guy at Daniel and Henry for 10 years. Business or personal, call Richard at 314-444-5011. He's the best.
At Town & Country Bank, we are committed to providing exceptional service to our customers. We do more than just provide loans for our community. We help make dreams become reality. Whether it's a new home, farm, business, or a new car, we would love the opportunity to help. Stop by one of our 2 Rolla locations and let our friendly lending team remind you how special hometown banking can be. Smart, friendly solutions. Town & Country Bank. Member FDIC. Equal housing lender.
President Trump is seriously floating the idea of reopening the notorious island prison to house America's most violent offenders and even illegal immigrants. It's been shut down since the 1960s, but President Trump sees it as a way to combat what he calls radicalized judges. Check it out.
Our country needs law and order. Alcatraz is, I would say, the ultimate, right? Alcatraz, Sing Sing and Alcatraz, the movies. But it's right now a museum, believe it or not. A lot of people go there. It housed the most violent criminals in the world, and nobody ever escaped. One person almost got there, but they, as you know the story, they found his clothing rather badly ripped up, and it was a lot of shark bites. And we'll see if we can bring it back in large form, add a lot. It sort of represents something that's both horrible and beautiful. Pay each one a certain amount of money, and we're going to get them a beautiful flight back to where they came from, and they have a period of time. And if they make it, we're going to work with them so that maybe someday, with a little work, they can come back in if they're good people. If they don't work, and if we take them out after the date, then they're never coming back.
So I want to go to our San Francisco correspondent. That would be Greg Gutfeld. You've been at Alcatraz twice. You think you're going to see this?
Yes, I was there.
In your lifetime?
I was there by choice. It was our grade school and high school field trip. I think they wanted to scare us straight, but it was San Francisco. Didn't work. I think what Trump's doing is he's trying to paint a grim picture for illegals who think they're going to wait this out. You know, is your country really as bad as Alcatraz? Maybe instead of seeking asylum here, you might think twice. He's trying to undo the perception of the incentives that were put in place that caused this unprecedented invasion. So, you know, sending them to Alcatraz is kind of a compromise between El Salvador and the Roosevelt Hotel, where they're staying at now. If you pay them $1,000, okay, that's 2 or 3 days of room and board that they would already get. So you're probably saving money by giving them $1,000. But what's interesting here is the number one concern that Trump ran on was illegal immigration, and he crushed it. So the Democrats replaced that with judges. So imagine you cross, you know, the finish line of a marathon, you break through the tape, and they say, sorry, that's not the real finish line. It's another 20 miles up there. That's what the Dems did. He solved the actual problem.
Okay, we're back. How's everybody doing? If you want to call the show, 573-578-2700. And like was said by my friend JJ, get it off your chest. All right? This is the place to do it right here. Blues lose and championship playoff win to Jets. Oh, my God. That was horrid to watch because our goalie, Binghamton, right? Yeah, he was great. I mean, he stopped so many shots, much more than the other goalies seemed to have, and these guys just wore themselves out. I mean, it was just a long. I mean, they played almost two overtimes. That's another 20 minutes each, right?
Yeah, so they played well over an hour of hockey.
Yeah, and
almost 2 hours.
And they're knocking the hell out of each other. I mean, oh my God!
They had a stats that the Blues and Jets series had 600 some odd hits in it.
Yeah.
The other series are around like in the 400s.
Yeah.
It was a very physical series.
Yeah, very
in a
physical.
1 versus 8 series. The Blues almost upset them.
And the Blues played great. They just didn't get it in the net.
I watched minute of that game.
I watched them get together after. The good thing about hockey is, there's two good things. The one good thing on the other end is they fight. Let them fight for a while, and then the even better thing is that when the custom is when a game is over, they all shake hands, and these guys had some kind of camaraderie where they were just hugging each other. And because it was like this was a mystic exploration into how long could you be on the ice and get the hell knocked out of you. It's one thing to get the hell knocked out of you if you're just walking or boxing or something. They're all on blades. They're all doing this on blades and ice, and it's hard ice.
Well, it was amazing to watch this whole thing. Now, men and women are different in how they handle things, right? And I've heard my wife talk about this, how women catfight. It's not always physical. Sometimes it's psychological. They will do things passive-aggressively, sometimes for years against another if they have a beef or as we talk about with the Chinese, the Mongolian beef, right?
Yeah.
If they have an issue, sometimes they handle it that way. Whereas us guys, what do? Some of our best friends are guys that we once knocked out or got knocked out by, and then we hug it out. And guess what? A lot of times you become friends after that.
Yeah, we forgive more easier, I think, than women.
It's same thing with that hockey fight. I think they have a mutual respect between each other after such a hard-fought series.
Oh, they do, and some of there was a connection or two there. Maybe a coach that coached with the Blues was coaching the other team and stuff like that. And the goalies got together, and my God. I thought they were going to run off and have a date.
Well, there's history between the goaltenders because during the All-Star break this year, they had what was called the Four Nations Face-Off, and they had two of the teams were Team USA and Team Canada. Well, the goaltender for the Jets, Connor Hellebuyck, was the goaltender for Team USA, whereas Jordan Bennington, who's the Blues goaltender, he's Canadian. He was a goaltender for Team Canada, and Team USA and Team Canada went all the way to the championship game, and Team USA almost upset him, but Bennington made some huge saves, and Canada ended up winning that one. So there's some history there just from this a few months ago, and so these two goaltenders have faced off now a couple of different times and on a pretty big stage too.
Bennington has won a Stanley Cup. Is that
he won the only one the Blues have ever won back in 2019. We were the worst team in the league in January, came all the way back and won the Cup. I was at Enterprise Center because they played in Boston that year in Game 7 to win the Cup. But they opened up Enterprise Center and said, anybody wants to come, buy a ticket.
Sure.
And all Blues fans can come in and watch the game on the big screen
and
watch it together. And my wife and I went. My childhood best friend who I watched a lot of hockey with, he met us there. And him and I got to hug it out in the final seconds as the Blues won the Cup.
How cool.
And they had streamers coming. I still have streamers in my sports room from that night.
Yeah.
And it was just this amazing event.
Man, what a
really,
memory
really cool.
that is.
Yeah, it's still lodged in my brain. So yeah, absolutely incredible.
All right, well, let's see. We got something you're ready to play. Is that correct?
I think so.
Why don't we do that? And we'll come back. This is pretty funny. Listen to it.
I remember one night many years ago, Paul called me. It was in the evening, and he said, Steve, I'm so excited. I've just finished a new song, and I just have to tell somebody. And I said, oh, great. What's the title? And he said, 47 Ways to Leave Your Lover. And I said, Paul, what if it were 50? 50 ways to leave your lover. And there was a long pause. And he said, go on. And I said, well, 50 has a nice ring to it, and 47 sounds a little awkward. And he said, but, I've got 47. I can't think of any more. And I said, make a new plan, Stan. And he said, 48. I said, don't need to be coy, Roy. Drop off the key, Lee. He said, okay, 50, great. Hey, thanks. And I'm sorry if I interrupted anything. I said, don't worry, I was just here cooking a chicken. And he said, oh, really, how are you preparing it? And I said, parsley, sage, rosemary, and thyme. And now look it up.
I can't help it. That's pretty funny right there. That's pretty funny. Yeah. And we're going to be playing a golf one for my next guest, who's going to be here. We got Chris Adamo coming on here in about 10 minutes, don't we? And then after that, we've got Willis, probably known as, to many of you, as Bruce or Bob Bullett Willis. I don't know how he got the word bullet. We'll have to figure it out.
Apparently, a new nickname when he comes on this show is Bob Ladies Man Willis, because he has all the ladies trying to hit him up after those appearances.
He's a single guy, ladies. Yeah, he'd be available. And he's a good friend. And like I say, he's my golf coach, and he's really helped my game. My goodness.
He never seems to take credit for that, though, when he's on the show.
Well, I think he's very proud of me.
I think so too, but I think
really?
he likes to have fun. I think he likes to mess with. I think he likes to mess with you a little bit.
Oh, of course, we that's how we get along. I get along with people, but even people that were once you can't find a person that supports what Biden did in this area. I haven't seen any, but there were plenty of them who were for them before, during the first part of his election. And, Trump was blessed by having him, having 4 years of him, because I think with that, and I wonder if that wasn't even the plan. You wonder, how smart is Trump? Did he let himself lose just to be able to come back and win this way?
I don't think he let himself lose, which I still don't believe he lost 2020 anyway. But
neither does he.
I believe that what Trump did was he just sat back and watched what Biden was doing. And he said, "Oh, wait a minute, I don't have to campaign the same way I did in 2016.
Yeah,
we got to do it a different way." Because his campaign in this last one almost flawless.
Yeah, but he was
tactical.
He wasn't against Biden because Biden was out hiding, and it was a big cheat going on, and they tried to do it again.
Yep.
And who's denying that? Pennsylvania, for example, they stopped voting at a certain point.
Yep.
And you're telling me that it was legit in Arizona? No way. No way. Okay.
Now, I do have to get back on the sports topic real quick because I got to ask.
Yes.
What's going on with your Celtics?
That's a very good question. And
I didn't see this coming.
And I neither did they, quite frankly. And here's the problem they got, in my opinion. I watched the whole game last night. I'm tired. I was doing prep. I was a little late doing the prep. Had to get up early to do this. But they've got their stars are out there without the big guys. This is how important it is to have size. When you've got a guy that's like, barely 6 foot guarding one of these big guys, it's a terrible disadvantage. Now, they've got a great small guy too, the Knicks do, 6'2", 6'3".
Oh, Jalen Brunson.
Yeah, Brunson. But he's also got the big guys. So they can't just double and triple on him, guarding him. They've got to worry about the big guys they've got who can score and who can produce all sorts of, steals and that through the game. They have the little guys. You need that balance. When they're all shooting like they were at the end, when they're all shooting these 3-pointers, and because you don't have the strength in the big guys that the Celtics had, both of which, one guy was just inept and the other guy was sick, allegedly. And so finally, it got to the Celtics to where they were shooting all these 3-pointers and being guarded aggressively by at least 2 guys. They couldn't get rid of these guys, and they were putting up lame shots. Some even never reached the basket.
So here's what has me concerned now for Boston. Game 1, they shot 63 pointers. They made 15. For those of you in Branson, that's 25% shooting. That's not good.
That's not good.
That's not good at all.
Right.
And they had a 20-point lead in the third quarter.
Yeah.
And because they continued to shoot from the outside, even though they weren't, you can tell when something is not working. The 3-point shooting was not working in game 1. They kept doing it. It allowed the Knicks to get back in the game.
Right.
They have a huge run, and they end up closing out in overtime with that game 1 victory. Okay, so then you think, okay, Boston's going to switch it up. They're going to start working inside out because the outside. No, Boston last night in game 2, what happens? They start 0 of 4 from 3-point again. It's not working, but they don't switch it up.
Yeah, and I kept yelling at the TV. Ask her. And my wife is here.
I'm very concerned that if Boston doesn't switch it up, that the Knicks might eliminate them, and that's
they might go 4 games.
Wow.
And that's unheard of.
Wow.
For everybody thought, oh my goodness, what's that? Oh my God.
For the whiny man that was in my house this morning.
Yeah. Oh, look at this, everybody. My wife got me a present because I was yelling about this.
Literally yelling because he used the last.
Yeah, but I also, oops, is that up? It's upside down. Okay. I said because we keep running out of Kleenex in the bathroom. And there's a little storage area where we keep our towels and toilet paper.
Yes.
And so I said, well, why don't you, and I asked about this previously, why don't you get a couple of these in for the storage area where if I run out, I can do it myself. I don't want to run out naked and scare all the neighbors just to get a Kleenex. Okay. So,
problem solved now.
Yeah, now the problem should be solved.
I hope so.
Yeah, and
if not,
there's
very
obviously
well.
more than one. Are these boxes?
Yes.
They're the boxes.
Yes.
Though. They're not the long, elongated ones.
No.
Okay, that's good. Well, thank you, honey.
Now that you know what they look like, you can
so
buy them
much.
anytime you need them.
Oh, look at this, and we're talking about toilet area stuff, and look who shows up.
I wasn't listening.
Are you listening? Good.
I wasn't listening.
Oh, good. Thank God. I just said my wife got me a present. I don't know what your wife gets you. Did she ever get you that?
No comment.
Oh my God. He's already hiding.
At least it's
he's
not
hiding.
At least it's not toilet paper.
Okay. All right. That's enough. That's enough out of you. Okay. This gentleman claims to be from Wyoming.
Claims to be?
Well, you're not.
You're starting off on a good foot.
You're from Wyoming. You were born. Were you born in Wyoming?
I was born in Cheyenne, Wyoming.
You were?
I was.
You were, and then where'd you go?
Everywhere. If you had a half hour, I'd tell you all the places I've lived since then. But yeah, I've moved all over.
Oh, you
moved back to Wyoming, and right after the Challenger blew up, I moved back to Wyoming. Lived there 32 years, and then I retired, and I moved to where I am now, which is in the American heartland.
So you weren't in the witness protection program from the FBI?
No, despite the
I've been
rumors you
lying
tried
about
to
that
start.
all that time?
You've
I'm
been
so
you've been
sorry.
wrong all that time.
I am so sorry. I apologize to you. I apologize to everybody in Wyoming,
Dave
especially
Weinbaum turns over a
especially
new
Liz.
leaf. We're off to a good start.
Yeah, okay. But he's an author, and we were just showing your book, Rules for Defeating Radicals. And
Thank you.
he's
And this gentleman right here always gets it right. So thank you, sir.
yeah, all right. Who are you pointing at?
I'm right there holding my book, my hero.
Yeah, okay. There you go. Yeah, in other words, that I had nothing to do with that, right? Right. Thank you so much.
I didn't quite say that.
Anyways, let's talk about stuff going on in the world today.
Oh,
And by the
man.
way, since I've introduced him, let's hear some applause. Does that make you feel any better?
It does. I liked it better when you used to play my theme song, but this makes me feel
Do
better.
it now, because you know what? They got me on
Copyrights?
Yeah.
Oh, it figures.
Well, yeah. I mean, and you know that's a racket, by the way,
Oh, it
because
absolutely is.
they don't tell you which stuff you've used is in foul area. Okay, I don't know this.
Seriously, we could talk about all of this this particular subject. What you have is a corporate monopoly that is going to extract every last penny that they can. And so, in all truth, all kidding aside, you're right to just drop the whole thing and we move on from there because, what they will do, they want it to where every time you turn your TV on, you're having to pay for each thing that you watch. I mean, this is the goal. And so,
Of course, that's business.
But there's other things more immediate.
Yeah, we're going to talk about that too. I know exactly where you're going. I think Planned Parenthood.
I wasn't going to go there, but go ahead on that one.
Yeah, I don't know. I'm looking at it, and maybe I didn't have this for you, but let's talk about Planned Parenthood and their new they're not just about abortions anymore, are they?
Well, yeah, their goal from the beginning, it's kind of like the ACLU, where they have a goal from the beginning, which was, if you look at David Baldwin, the founder of the ACLU, he said flat out, we've got him quoted historically, communism is our goal. Now, they pick up these different topics along the way, and they look like they're on this one or that one to try and sound like that they're diverse, but that's their end goal. Planned Parenthood, they make their money killing unborn babies. Now, part of that is you've got to destroy fundamental morality to maximize that profit. And so they'll attack fundamental morality, fundamental basic right and wrong in every venue they possibly can. And the latest one I heard, and I don't know if you're going here or not, but the latest one I heard is they're handing out all puberty blockers and the perverse hormones and this kind of stuff. So now the thing is, if they can promote this transgender agenda, they can destroy basic morality. They can increase the madness. People start acting more lunatic. People start behaving more like barnyard animals. Guess what? Planned Parenthood increases its market share.
Well, it's a cash cow because some of them are minors.
Oh, absolutely.
They're making appointments for them to doctors, and they're making prescriptions same day for these kids who want to get involved with gender operations and things like that. And they become permanent customers until who knows what.
Well, until they commit suicide, typically, because they've wrecked their lives. But tell me this, Dave, you remember the old caricature you would see, and there was a basis of truth in it, where the guy with the raincoat, in front of the kids, he goes up in front of the kids, he opens his raincoat and he's naked. That guy, if the neighbors caught him, that guy would be lucky if he made it to jail, because that guy was such a threat, such a vile threat to their children, that they were going to get him. They were going to stop him. Okay. Now we've got those people making official decisions, going into classrooms and things like this. And what's happening? Well, we've got to discuss this. We need to get a judge to admit that there's something wrong with this. Otherwise, we can't do anything about it. We are literally, you go back to the Old Testament, and the Moabites were sacrificing their own children on altars to Baal. They were literally burning them alive. And they've gone into, so the architect or archaeologists have gone into some gruesome detail about what that entailed. We're at that same point with our own children. We're letting this stuff happen, and we're talking about it. Well, we're talking about it. And when I say we, I'm talking about the collective community. We're talking about it as if, well, maybe they've got a point. They are doing vile things to children that we never should have allowed. And frankly, my kids are all grown up. But if somebody came at my kid with a threat like that, I would have stopped him. I was going to stop him.
Yeah, and that's it's even in this town. This town.
Absolutely.
I mean, I'm right across from the library where they have these books on men having babies and things like that.
Yeah, it's absolutely, and we're paying for that.
It's outrageous, and the person that was on city council, who actually came to the show a couple times, she got voted out, and she was the one that was trying to protect the kids.
Well,
and so this is
the big money.
big
The big
problem.
money is there. The personal attacks, and here's the problem. And yes, I'm going to go back to my book. Here's the problem: we color inside the lines, but we end up letting them tell us where those lines are at. Let me give you an example now. Referring back to Wyoming, where I used to live. Okay,
Yes.
The legislative.
And you were born in.
And I was born there. I'm a native Wyomingite. So yeah, I'm a Native American. Okay. The legislative argument that the leftists and the rhinos in Wyoming have been making on behalf of all this trans stuff and the boys in the girls' locker rooms and all this stuff, we're not going to support a law protecting girls from boys going into their locker room, which is something any decent parent would have fought for only a few years back. We're not going to support that law. Here's their excuse. Well, it's not happening in Wyoming. Okay. So apparently until some girl comes out and admits she's been raped in the locker room, it's not happening in Wyoming. The point is it is happening there. It's happening everywhere. But when they use an excuse like this and our side says, oh, well, okay, if it's not happening, if you say it's not happening, we're just going to back off because I don't want to be controversial.
Well,
We
how
enable
about
that.
Trump going and defunding Maine, and Maine now has given up. Maine has given up that right now. That BS about we hardly had any problem with it.
Right. We
And
hardly had any problem.
Back down.
Can you imagine if you were running your McDonald's and you said, we hardly have any problem with food poisoning? Can you imagine? And yet this is the basis on which these people operate, and we let them get away with it. When you say we hardly, and not you, but when that lefty says we've hardly had any problem with it, what that lefty is saying, we need to call them out on it. You're saying that amount is okay with you and probably more. That's what you're saying. And hardly any problem means you're enabling it. And by golly, I'm going to go after you. And we need to go after them, and we need to use our strength, our voice, and our money to go after those people. And on that, if I could segue into I think the biggest issue of the week, and we need to unmask it in its full ugliness, is Senator Tom Tillis of North Carolina. He's not going to support Ed Martin as the DC attorney. Why? Because Ed Martin fought for the rights and the constitutional protections for J6 defendants. Okay, so the little picture
that about? This guy's he's an ex-football coach.
The little picture here, though, is that he's just going to oppose this one vote. The big picture, Tom Tillis is reasserting the entire he's reasserting the entire leftist 2020 narrative. Joe Biden was legitimately elected. America wanted socialism. America wanted all of those leftist judges that are fighting to keep the border open and fighting to keep us from deporting these criminals, these gang members. Okay, all of that stuff that is literally has been wreaking havoc on innocent Americans, that those leftist judges and that leftist political establishment is fighting for. Tom Tillis, Republican Tom Tillis, is on their side. And what we've got to do now, it's still early 2025. He's up for election in 2026. People of North Carolina, the people across America, we've got to start now recruiting candidates to replace these rhinos. Because if you wait until spring of 2026, what you're going to have is a bunch of people that that are, maybe a lot of them are well-meaning. They have no clue what they're getting into. They have no clue. They have no savvy about how the process works. And they throw their name in the ring, and you get 6 well-meaning conservatives and you get one rhino in there, and they split. This is in the primary. They split the conservative vote 6 ways, and the rhino wins with 18% of the vote. He wins the primary and then goes into the general.
Well, you changed that voting situation, didn't you, in Wyoming? You know, that's in some of my notes here.
Well, I will claim some credit for part of it, because I will tell you there are people there, and you ought to have them on your show too. You'd love them. There's Chip Nyman, who's the Speaker of the House. There's John Baer, who's the chairman of the Wyoming Freedom Caucus, and Jeremy Haraldson, who's a very good personal friend, former pastor of mine out of Wheatland, Wyoming, and he got in and essentially once he beat out an entrenched rhino in the primary, he immediately turned around and started campaigning for the other grassroots conservatives throughout the state running against these entrenched rhinos. And so, yeah, I had some influence there. I did some coaching and some rooting for them. But these guys, they literally have fought this multi-million-dollar, probably Soros-funded, who knows, this Republican establishment in Wyoming that governed like a bunch of Vermont Democrats. These guys went in there and they were like samurai warriors on their best day, going in and slashing and burning amongst the rhinos. And yeah, Wyoming's politics are totally flipping, and we're getting rid of the rhino establishment, getting real conservatives in there, and the Democrats, the leftists, and the rhino Liz Cheney types are having a conniption fit over it.
Well, that seems to be going on in Michigan too. A little bit of that with the governor there. She seems to be warming up to Trump.
She's pandering at this point. She's a little desperate. I don't trust her for a second.
Well,
but
of course they are.
Yeah.
But okay, they're making signals that they want to get along.
They're realizing they have to play along. Now,
that's what the whole Democratic Party is trying to figure out. What do we do?
Right.
Do we try to get along with this guy, or do we try to overthrow him like we did last time? Well, guess
they do
what?
both. They do both.
You can't do both at the same time, though.
No, you can't do both at the same time because you're an honest man. These are leftists. These are Democrats. These are hypocrites. They will say anything. Got my book there? Can you hold up my book real fast?
Hold up the book. It's on the corner. JP, hold up the book again, please.
Thank you, JP.
He's got it. There you go.
That's why he's my hero.
Well, it's sitting here on the. You can't see it probably. It's on the screen the whole time.
I can always just do this, but I like getting JP involved there, and I love the hat, JP. By the way,
you know, the guy's he's having a little cocktail, and he's over there, and he's having a good time.
What?
He worked his ass off on this show. Yeah, there you go. See, he's got the hiccups now. There we go. Turn down your mic.
So the point that I wanted to make, though, the point behind all of this, underline it. Leftists never care about any cause they claim to champion. And I underline any. You've heard me say this 100 times on your show. Leftists never care about any cause they claim to champion. They will flip on a dime the minute they think it's in their best interest to take a different side on this. And Gretchen Whitmer is a perfect example.
Sure.
She's going to make friends with Trump right now because she's realizing that it's costing her politically. Now, if she can keep up, and this is up to us, not her, if she can keep up the facade long enough, she'll get reelected. If what we do is continue to move the bar up, continue to raise the bar, and then at the right time, then you call her out on, this is what you say now, but this is what you said a year ago. This is what you said back during COVID. We don't let them get away with it. What we've done at that point is we've established the narrative of truth, and we've called out the hypocrites. We've called out the frauds in that, and that's how we need to fight this fight.
Are you describing what the ranked choice voting?
Oh,
and what is that? And how did Wyoming get rid of it?
Wyoming flat out came out against it and said this is garbage. Ranked choice voting, it's one of those wolves in sheep's clothing. The sheep's clothing looks innocent. There's a wolf behind it. In essence, what it does is it forces you to give support to candidates you don't like. Okay, because when they do ranked choice voting, they never say none of the above. Okay, for you have 4 candidates, they say pick them from 1 to 4. how much you like them. So even the one you put in 4, you're giving him a little support.
Yeah.
Okay. And in this way, these bad candidates can climb over top of the better ones in a close race. And you end up with stuff like we had up in Alaska, where Lisa Murkowski, the rhino, ends up a little better than Sarah Palin, who was a good, staunch conservative fighter.
Yes.
And she did it because of ranked choice voting, because people, instead, if they could say, pick your favorite ones and then give a 0 to the rest of them, then that would work. Well, that's not the plan. The plan is to make you think you have a better choice in a primary while you're giving support to candidates you don't like. So ranked choice voting is a scam. And anytime that they try to portray it to you as anything different, what you've got there is you've got the deep state rhinos and leftists fighting to keep you from actually having control over them. I'll give you another thing that they shut down in Wyoming, and we can thank Liz Cheney for this. Your elevator partner there. I got you first on that before you tried to say she and I were friends.
I'm not ashamed. Okay? I met her I shook her hand. She was in an elevator, and she said,
okay.
Do you know a guy named Chris?
No, she didn't.
Backfired.
No, she wouldn't have said that. Anyway,
go ahead.
The Wyoming primary process was corrupt in its own way, and it was very much the same thing as this ranked choice voting. It was done in such a way that that the rhinos, the liberal Republicans, it gave them cover. Okay, what you had was on primary day. So the purpose of a primary is we're supposed to find our best candidate as a.
What's that? Okay. Can you hear me? All right. Well, hold on. That's your wife.
We lost our video.
Yeah.
Yeah, Chris, I think we're having trouble with your Wi-Fi there.
Yeah. Not your wife, your Wi-Fi. Okay.
You there?
Yeah, we're here. We can't.
Okay, I'm back.
Okay.
Well, this is great. I'm back and Dave's not. I can tell. Oh, okay. You're back. Oh, we're here. So
try to blame me, do we?
Sorry about that. I just couldn't resist that.
Yeah.
Anyway,
Yeah.
The Republicans, the rhinos in Wyoming, loved the fact that the primary process made it so that you could come into the voting booth or the polling place on election day as a Democrat, as a leftist. You could register as a Republican. You could go in and vote for the most liberal Republican, and then come back out and re-register as a Democrat. And it gave cover to the rhinos for the longest time. Well, after the Liz Cheney fiasco really came back and slapped Wyoming so hard in the face, they were able to go in there finally. And this was Jeremy Haraldson, one of the people you need to interview, who's a Speaker pro tem of the Wyoming legislature now. He introduced the bill saying you're not allowed to change parties in Wyoming after the filing date. Okay, so from the point when, so on that filing date, if you look at the other party's candidates and you say, I want to vote for their worst one, it's too late. You have to plan that far in advance. Now, it's not foolproof because you can register before that and still register with the other party, and some of them will do that, but it's a lot more difficult to go in there with a bunch of Democrats voting for a Republican on primary day and pick the most liberal one. So there's things that can be done about this.
Okay, well, on another issue, what do you know about high school juniors with $70,000 a year jobs?
I just saw that one yesterday, and it's again a huge lesson that the leftists and the whole so-called education establishment does not want us to learn. The fact is that that these kids are getting marketable skills. Now they have to have two things. They have to be diligent in going to that class and learning this skill, like welding or other trades, carpentry, things like this. They have to be diligent in that. And then they have to show up at work on time and work hard. Okay. Now those are things that we can instill in our kids starting from the beginning. But if that kid instead of doing that, the standard process that they wanted to go through these days, and it's all about control and money, is, well, no, you can't be successful unless you're a college graduate. So we want you to go off to college and get your liberal arts degree in lesbian dance studies or underwater basket weaving, okay? And you spend $200,000 getting this degree. You have a $200,000 debt of your student loan hanging over your head, which, by the way, the left says you and I ought to pay. And then this kid goes out to get a job, and there's two things about him. Number one, they don't know how to change a light bulb. Number two, they've been so marinated in leftist lunacy that they walk into your McDonald's to get a job and they say, well, you owe me, and so I don't have to show up at work on time. I don't have to do a good job. And if you say anything negative, you're discriminating on the basis of, the color I paint my hair or anything that I want to come up with. Okay, you look at that person, you say, you know what, you're not going to, I need people who are actually going to get the job done. You're not it. So now that person with their $200,000 debt, they can't get a job, a basic job. They will go to Walmart and they'll flunk out of greeter school. Okay, and so on this basis, you and I have failed them, when in truth, we've got kids that are actually looking at the future, looking at their country and saying, how do I become a successful member of society for myself and for my country? And they're starting to get these trade school jobs, and they're doing well with it.
So on another subject, let's talk a little bit about abortion. Babies have waved in the womb and come out and been born with the same wave.
Yeah.
I mean, the same thing. It's amazing.
You've seen the ultrasounds.
Play that. We're gonna play another one for you. I don't know if I've ever done this with you, but it'll take a second or two to get him in there. But we've got a father talking to a
down in Brazil or someplace, I think.
Yeah, exactly. And the baby.
Those are great. You need to show these. These are great.
Yeah, we're gonna do that right now because I like doing it because it's a picture is worth 1,000 subpoenas in my mind. So here we go.
Nenê do pai. Mas, meu Deus do céu, gente. Ela tá feliz, meu Deus do céu. Bebê. Mas, gente do céu. Nenê do pai. Mas, meu Deus do céu, gente.
My gosh. That's such a beautiful little girl. I mean, and she's got her hair done or something. I don't know what the hell is that about. She's in the womb. And she's reacting.
Well, the thing that when you listen to the term fetus and the term zygote, these are biological terms, and what they basically mean is unborn baby. Okay, and you listen when leftists use these terms, is because they sound a little strange. Oh, what if you don't say that? So what they do is they very diligently use every term except reality, so that they can hide the humanity of that baby. Okay, and just the whole term, the whole pro-choice is an attempt to do that. We don't want to say pro-killing babies or pro-abortion. They're pro-choice. They're for choice.
Yeah, that's
against choice. You're the meanie. Okay,
that's for killing a kid when it's
and
inconvenient for you. And there's very few women out there.
And we use.
All right. Well, we're gonna have to. I don't know what we're gonna do.
So
here.
these. We got. It looks like we got a data problem.
Yes.
So we need to do things like you just did to show these videos, because the ultrasound, God bless these things, they humanize the baby. It shows you what's really in there. It's not a matter of discussion versus your discussion. It's a matter of here's what's going on in the womb. It's a baby. It's not a fetus. It's not a zygote. It's not this clump of cells. This what do they call it? Non-viable tissue mass. Okay, they'll use every term they can to humanize this baby. And these videos you're showing, I actually prove that. They show the fact dealing with a little human being. Ultrasounds ought to be a requirement. You want to your baby, at the very least, you need to see an ultrasound. You do that. All right, they've implemented that as law. You see the ultrasound. You're just making an informed.
Hey, Chris, we're having we
Go ahead.
got a bad sound going here.
Yeah.
And we're about close to at the end of it anyways. So well, I don't know if it's on his side or my side. Okay. All right. Well, anyways, I want to thank you for being on the show. And if you can tell me where people can find and buy your book. Can you hear that? No, he can't. I think it's from Amazon.
It is.
Yeah.
Yeah. That's where I got that
So
one.
We actually have the link in the comments that they can click on. So
can you hear me?
I had to remove him because
He's gone. All right. All right. Well, anyways, let's give a round of applause for Chris Adamo. Hope you heard that. I don't know if he did or not. I have my next guest here. He's early, like always. And yes, yeah.
5
No,
minutes.
you're actually an hour late. Look at the clock again.
I did look at the clock. Your time has always been screwed up.
I know. Yeah, tell me about that. Tell me about my problems. Let's talk about yours here. All right, this guy is a forestry manager for the feds, right?
Yeah, I was a senior manager for the Mark Twain National Forest and the Forest Service for 30 years.
Now, were you in the Vietnam War too?
Yes, I was.
And he is the author of The Last Buffalo in Kansas. I played basketball, then golf with Tom Watson in high school. Very smart guy, and he is, I'm not ashamed to say it, my golf coach, such as my game is. Let's welcome Bob Bullett Willis. What the hell does a bullet stand for?
Well, I'm not really sure how I got that nickname, but it happened when I came to Rolla, and I think it was probably because in those days I played softball, and I was really fast. I used to be.
Really?
Not so much anymore.
Yeah.
So when I'd get on base, I'd usually steal a base or two. So they
So
started.
you were the bullet.
So they started calling me the Bullet.
So it had nothing to do with shooting people or anything like that.
Well, the other thing that it could be is when I hit my driver, it was kind of a low bullet that went out and slowly rose.
Same thing. You still got that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Could be. But I need to do a shout out. And that's to
Please.
Jack Boone, who just got out of the hospital last Friday.
All right, let's hear it for Jack.
Yeah.
Is he listening? Hi, Jack.
Yeah, it's great to get him out of the hospital and get him into recovery.
That's terrific.
And the other thing I would like to say, I need to give a plug to The Last Buffalo
Go ahead.
in Kansas.
Yes.
And that is because it's going to be released May 13th, which is next Tuesday. Okay.
Uh-huh.
The Last Buffalo in Kansas it'll be on Amazon and in all the bookstores, but you can pre-order on Amazon now. Delivery will begin on the 13th of May. But just briefly about The Last Buffalo, it is a story about American history, and it was published by Trilogy Publishing, which is the publishing arm of the TBN television network. TBN is the largest Christian network in the world. And they liked the story, and it's going to be available, and it tells about a family living through 100 years of American history.
And it's your family. Okay. Why do you always say a family? This is your life experience.
It is about my family, but more than that, it's about the history of our country.
Well, sure, yeah.
It talks about traveling on packet ships, talks about the horse era, which lasted almost 100 years in the United States, a little over that actually.
Yeah.
And farming with horses is in itself quite an experience. And all those kind of things are in the book. It talks about the Dust Bowl and how hard it was. It talks about the Great Depression, World War I. My great grandfather was in the Civil War. He was a cavalryman. Shot the bugle out of his hand several times. He was a bugler
which is probably the most dangerous position to be in.
It is. Everybody shot the bugler because he's the one that
they're giving the orders out.
Yeah,
right?
he was bugling all the orders.
Yeah.
But it is a really interesting book, and I encourage everyone to check it out.
Yeah.
There's another book coming out that's part of the children's series, which will be out probably in June.
All right.
That's The Adventures of Dog. This is being published by another Christian publisher, and it's a really cute story about a dog having all kinds of adventures.
Yeah, that's cool.
Yeah,
and you're still doing it. You're testing fish, bait, and all sorts of stuff. That's pretty cool.
Well, okay, yeah, I did. I was fishing the other day, and I've written.
Where do you fish?
I fish in lake. I have several lakes on my property.
Okay.
And so I'm fishing the other day, and I fly fish. When you fly fish, you catch a lot of bluegill because they eat small flies.
Yeah.
And I said, I've got to figure out something that'll catch bass and crappie with a fly rod,
which are much bigger fish by nature.
Oh yeah,
yeah,
a lot bigger. And so I said, you know what? I'm going to create a composite fly, and alpha test it and see just how it might do in catching bass.
What is an alpha test?
Okay. When you test any item, there's an alpha part of the testing and a beta part of the testing. The alpha part of the testing is to see if it's a feasible concept.
Yeah.
That's when you go out and you perform a whole group of different tests to see if in fact it performs as you think it will. The beta testing then is to see how you might develop it and go on. Hey, I have an MBA, so I'm alpha testing it.
Yeah.
Just one of those things. So anyway, what I decided to do with this particular fly is 1 hour a day in the evening, I would fish for 7 days in a row.
Yeah.
Turned out I couldn't do 7 days in a row, but I'm going to do 7 days. And what I found out was that this composite fly caught bass and crappie like crazy.
No kidding.
Oh yeah.
Do you have to put a patent on that?
Well, I think I'm just going to make it available.
Cool.
I'm going to tie it up and show what it looks like and tell people how to use it. That's the way I did with a lot of the trout fishing information.
Yeah.
I have a web page and
sort of give it out.
Facebook page.
You're a nice guy.
Just give it out and because it's fun. It's people having fun outdoors fishing. And so that's what I need, that's what I'm going to do. But let me just tell you, this particular fly that I've developed in the span of 1 hour a day for 5 days, 5 hours of fishing, I've caught over 50 fish.
Wow.
And most of them are bass and crappie. I've caught 2 bluegill, but most of them are bass
and they're
crappie.
Nice size.
Yeah, well, the bass are not monsters, but they're in the pound.
Well, how big do the fish come into your lakes there? You got some big fish in there, right?
Yeah.
Catfish?
I have some big catfish and some big grass carp, but I also have some big bass. I've caught a 10-pound bass out of that lake.
Wow.
But these bass are mostly pound and a half, but there's a lot of them. And crappie, it may be the best crappie fly I've ever used because I've caught over 20 crappie.
Wow.
And that's...
Now, from an eating point of view, crappie is the best eating fish that I know of.
Yes, I think so.
Yeah.
Crappie and walleye and mai and...
Yeah, walleye too. Walleye is really good. Yeah.
Yeah.
All right. What else you got?
I diverge. Well, do you want to talk money?
Yeah, let's talk. We're going to talk about money. The major differences between the last 6 decades of expanding debt and inflation and Trump's tariffs, which may temporarily raise prices. What are your thoughts on that? Just now, today, Trump made his first deal with the UK.
He did,
and he's announced it, I think, already.
He's announcing it right now.
And he's announcing it right now, so that's huge.
Yeah.
The market was scheduled to go way up from this, and we look like we're going to be okay now. Wouldn't you say?
I think we were always okay.
So do I.
The one thing I would say is to understand the impact of tariffs, you have to understand a bit about the global economy. One of the things that Obama did when he was president is he took the United States from being a manufacturing giant to something else in terms of the global economy. And what he encouraged our manufacturers to do was to move overseas and build overseas plants. When you do that, you take manufacturing away from our country. And that's what has happened over the past 2 decades almost. The reason that that kind of thing has happened is primarily because of the way the other countries deal with us and our economy.
Right.
I want to just talk a little bit about GDP.
Okay. What is it?
Gross domestic product. It's how much every country produces every year in terms of dollars. Okay. The United States by far has the largest GDP, $28 trillion a year. Our net worth in terms of everything within our country in value is somewhere between 140 and 160 trillion dollars. There is no other country even close to us. In terms of GDP, China's GDP is $18 trillion a year. The EU, the European Union GDP is also $18 trillion a year. But
yet we're $36 trillion in the hole.
I'll talk about
how does that happen?
I want to talk about that later.
Okay.
Let's just deal with the tariffs at this point in time. When we get to talking about the big beautiful bill, we'll talk about the problems associated with our deficits. What President Trump has done in imposing these tariffs on these other countries has substantially affected their GDP.
Yeah.
We import about 8% of our GDP a year. The other countries import up to about 65% of their GDP per year. The impact we have, we consume 25% of the world's production. Nobody else is even close. What is Russia's GDP? Well, it's $2 trillion a year.
Wow.
Yeah, we're about 30. What is Mexico's GDP? Well, it's 1.8 trillion.
Yeah, you count the cartels in that too?
Yeah,
probably a lot higher.
They own about half.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah. So what we're in the process of doing right now is reorganizing world trade. Needs to be done. China is using trade to further their interests around the world at this point in time. You had probably not heard of the road and mortar projects by China.
Yeah, that and the acquisition of ports all over the world.
Well, yeah, they've done ports and built ports in Brazil. They built ports in a variety of countries.
Israel,
Mexico is another one where they built a port. The problem right now that China has with the United States taking over the Panama Canal, China uses about 60% of the traffic in the Panama Canal.
Right.
We use about 15%. But it's strategic for us.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
And it cuts us off. You'd have to go where? I mean, you'd have to go around the Cape
of South America.
Yeah.
Yeah. And it adds probably 2 weeks to the transition of goods movement,
which is very expensive.
Well, the biggest issue is military warships moving through the canal. That's where it gets important.
Yeah,
and that's why we have to have it back. And we'll have it back because at this point in time, Panama has violated that treaty that we have with them.
Well, yeah, and the how did they get it in the first place? Because we had it at one time, and we built it. And lost like almost 40,000 people building it.
Jimmy Carter gave it to him
for what? How much? We got a big.
$1.
Oh my God!
Gave it to him for $1.
What? He couldn't get 50 cents?
Yeah. No, he gave it to him for $1. But there is a treaty that's in place.
Yeah.
And there's some requirements in that treaty.
Yeah.
Even though they are managing the canal, we still have a major influence in what happens there, and we're going to take it back. As President Trump has indicated,
he said I think they've agreed to do it.
Well, the deal hasn't actually happened yet.
But what does China have to say about? Do they have a say in this?
Well, it's managed by a Chinese company.
Yeah.
Okay. It's actually a Hong Kong company.
Yeah.
And
it's China, CCP.
But it is China
controlled.
Yeah, surely. And this company has been pressured to sell to BlackRock, an American company. That deal has been developing now ever since President Trump took office, and I think it will close shortly, but it hasn't closed yet. And
what hasn't closed yet? Our ownership of it?
The transfer to BlackRock from the Chinese company.
All right, which would be American?
Yes.
All right.
All the other things in terms of what the United States is going to do have been pretty well identified.
Yeah. Yeah.
So,
All right.
So that's going to happen. But back to trade. When you talk about what the United States is doing in trade and this UK agreement didn't really surprise me, because UK is one of the few countries where we're about even in trade. Imports and exports are about equal with the UK. Now they have some rules and regulations on our car companies and some of our other businesses that make it difficult to do business in the UK, but those I think will be erased with this agreement.
Motivational wise, in this country right now, that is a huge victory. It's seen as a realization that something actually is going to happen, because we all knew it was going to take time, but that was giving a lot of people out there trying to stink up the arena by saying how horrible this is, and we're going to have depression and all this other stuff happen to us, and we're losing all our money because the market was up and down.
Well, the market really has nothing to do with trade.
It has,
but there's a psychological influence.
That's right.
That occurs when you do these kind of things.
Yeah,
with the global
it made a lot of
economy.
people sell out. Okay, and I bet you they're sorry now.
Well, the realization of the market is it's always eventually going to go up. I mean, that's
bingo.
That's just the reality of the way companies perform and stocks perform. In terms of the tariff situation, for the woke media to say that our prices are going to go astronomically high is just a fallacy.
Yeah.
Only 8% of our total production is in trade. 8%, 92% is not. So when
we want to get them all here with their part of the deal is to bring your company and your factory here to the United States.
Absolutely. And when you dealing with China and EU in particular has to be done. China regulates and imposes tariffs, and when we do take a company to China, they steal all the company's secrets.
Yeah.
That's part of the requirement. So when we take our chip manufacturers to China, they get all the chip technology.
Sure.
We
all know that.
That's a security bust that we can't afford to have.
And the previous administrations you were pointing to, Obama and Biden, they went along with it.
Well, sure. They were globalists.
Yeah.
That's what they supported.
Globalists, and in both cases, I believe they were corrupt. They were getting money from this.
Well, sure they were, because the companies, by moving overseas, were able to create products that were cheaper, because the biggest cost of producing anything is labor. It's about 50% of the production cost.
Right.
And when you move to China, where they essentially have almost nothing in labor costs.
Labor. Now they got slave labor.
Well, they do.
A good part of it. And most people, I visited China a long time ago, and the thing I took from it was everybody I saw that wasn't a communist, but were working the tours and stuff like that. Every single one of them hated what they were doing.
Well, let me just give you a little bit of I've traveled all over.
I know.
And I had an occasion to be sitting by a lady that was coming back from China on one of the trips where I caught a flight out of South Korea. And so I asked her about her life. And she lived in the interior and they have cities that are millions of people in the interior that we never have heard of. But she was in the city actually teaching English. And I said, the biggest issue I had with China is pollution.
Yeah.
And primarily it's smog and particulate matter. And I asked her how she dealt with all the pollution in China. And she said, well, we have air purifiers in every room and we wear a mask every day.
Yeah.
And this was not that long ago. The interesting part of that story is China is not a part of any global treaty associated with the environment.
Well,
they don't participate.
Yeah.
So they are the biggest polluter in the world, and yet we're here talking about green energy in the United States.
But they're building all the EV stuff.
They are building all the EV stuff, and they're doing it with coal-fired electricity.
Yes, exactly. And they're selling this to Tesla.
Yeah.
Am I wrong?
No. Well, now they're actually in competition with Tesla.
Yeah. All right.
And in fact,
but in their own country,
in the EU,
yeah.
The Chinese electric vehicles have overtaken Tesla as a major supplier.
That's why he's back at Tesla now instead of trying to figure out our problems here.
Well, I think what a bad rap. He did such a good job.
Oh, sure.
Elon Musk, one of the smartest men in the world, and to have him helping the economy in terms of reducing government spending,
putting his businesses to the
risk,
side,
at risk,
his life at risk,
and what a sad scenario.
Yeah,
and that's the woke enterprise at its worst, really.
Sure. Go ahead.
We've talked about tariff. I think probably we've covered that well enough.
All right.
Let's talk about the big beautiful spending bill.
Yes.
Okay.
Let's do that. Yes.
One of the things, I worked for government for a long time, been involved in a lot of spending bills.
Yeah.
Been involved in a lot of continuing resolutions. Y'all know about continuing resolutions?
Yeah.
Well, let me just talk a little bit about the way the budget process is supposed to work and the way it's currently working. Government for years has funded individual agencies. Any government spending bill is initiated by the House.
Right.
Okay. All spending bills initiate in the House of Representatives. The way it is supposed to work is that each agency is funded as an individual spending bill. Congress votes on that bill, send it to Senate, and then that agency is funded based on how Congress feels it should be. When you start dealing in one bill, you put all the agencies together. When you put all the agencies together in one bill, you're talking about a bill of $5 to $6 trillion with so many arms in it that it's difficult to get a handle on it. Okay. Elon Musk has done a terrific job reducing government and government employment. The problem is, when you only deal with the agencies, you're dealing with a minimal amount of government spending. All of the agencies, except for defense, which generally has an $800 million to $1 trillion budget, are only $800 million. All the agencies combined.
Yeah.
Out of a $6 trillion budget. And Elon Musk is going to save several $100 million with the agencies.
Billions,
sorry. But when you start talking about saving money, the two issues that you have to deal with in the government spending are the social programs, which amount from $2 to $4 trillion, and the interest on the debt, which we have to pay every year, which is about $1.2 trillion at this time for a $36 trillion deficit. Okay, so if you're going to actually balance the budget, you're going to set the deficit at what it is now. You're going to have to do more than just balance the budget.
Right.
You're going to have to create a surplus.
Yes.
To be able to reduce the debt.
Right.
And that's the challenge. And the only way to do that is to reduce the debt with maybe some of the tariff money.
Yeah.
And reduce our expenditures in the social programs. Okay.
Well, also, what about the factories moving from other countries to here?
That may create more revenue.
Well, that's your GDP, isn't it?
Yeah. Well, when you talk about GDP, our GDP as it exists today is $28 trillion.
Yeah.
If we move manufacturing back into this country, we will be able to reduce the $1.2 trillion trade deficit that we're dealing with. Okay. That will add to the GDP. It will also add to the tax base. But it will take time to do that.
Okay.
Because
it's all going to take time.
We're starting it.
That's why everybody's asking Trump, you're going to run in 28? And he's actually kind of sidestepped that a little bit.
He's not going to run in 28. I mean,
probably not, but you never know.
I think there are some good candidates out there. Rubio.
He says 15 to 20, but he named Rubio and JD.
And Vance are the two best candidates. Elon must be a great president, but he wouldn't. I wouldn't. He wouldn't do that.
Can he be
No, he's a
do
South
that?
African
Yeah,
native.
exactly.
He can't do it.
Yeah. What happened to the stories about Obama being from Kenya?
Well, yeah, if you did an Obama move, you could probably do it.
Yeah, exactly. So, all right. So,
but let's get into the big beautiful bill and how that's going to work out, because it's
how about whether it's going to work out?
Well, that's the problem with the bill right now is it's not just a spending bill. It's a tax relief bill,
right?
And it has other things in it.
Aren't we replacing a tax deficit that's going to happen if we don't do something about it?
Well, the original Trump tax plan, which he initiated and was passed in Congress, is about to expire.
Yes.
This bill will extend that tax plan that basically creates additional relief for the middle class.
Right.
Okay. And that needs to,
and every Democrat is going to vote against it, and maybe some Republicans too.
Yeah, I don't understand the Republicans at this point, because there was a Republican that just yesterday said that,
Tillis?
Huh?
Was it Tillis?
No, it wasn't. It was a Republican that handles some of the subcommittee work for one of the agencies, and what he said was, President Trump said, if you give me more money than I asked for, I'm not going to spend it.
Yeah.
Okay. And this Republican took exception to that. If we give you money, you should spend it, even though it's not in your program. And President Trump said, no, I don't want to do that. I'm going to impound that money and not spend it. Well, and this individual had a problem with that.
Why?
I can't answer that question.
Okay.
You'll have to ask him.
Yes. We expect you to have all the answers. Dang it. Come on, man. So there's a story about a new city being anointed in Texas.
Yes.
In Austin, that area, like Austin.
Yeah, and I forgot what it's called.
It's called something to do with
Star City or something.
And Elon Musk has something to do with this too. He's moving his factories there. Or some of them, and from California, I believe.
He is.
And this is something that is caught my attention in that there's some kind of a fortune that's in the that's been going on since like the Civil War or something like that, where they have like $150 trillion somewhere. Have you heard about this?
I've heard about it. I'm not sure I give it.
It might be a scam.
I don't give it a lot.
But they were talking about having 20 new cities all around the United States and the Midwest and stuff to take away from all the bad stuff that's going on in these states that are.
Yeah, I wouldn't invest in that if I was you.
Yeah, I'm not gonna. But if I read something, it doesn't mean I'm going to invest in it.
But Star City that Elon Musk is creating around his manufacturing complexes is going to be a reality. And he let the people that are coming into that community identify the name of their new city.
Yeah, how about that?
So yeah.
So what's he in such a hurry to go to Mars for?
Well, he likes Mars better. I mean, hey.
I got a guest coming on here as we're going to talk about that, because his point is that there's all sorts of artifacts that have been found on Mars that show that other people have been there.
Well, I don't know. You're probably not quite as bored as I am, but I do.
Bored?
Yeah. When I flip on the internet,
yeah, I
find the NASA Voyager photographs and images of Mars.
Yeah.
And they actually have videos of the landscape around Mars.
Okay.
And as you look at those videos, you see some fairly interesting things that you say, what the
Yeah, exactly
is
my
that?
point.
You know?
And what's under the ground.
Yeah.
Too.
Yeah.
You know, and has it been settled before has it been visited by other planets?
For example, the one thing you notice when you look at Mars landscape is that it looks like has been impacted by water and erosion. Now there's wind.
Okay, what does that mean?
There's wind erosion that certainly takes place now, but the deep valleys and the erosion that appears to exist on Mars means that at one time there was water there, and that's important.
Yeah,
and there may still be water underground somewhere.
Yeah,
and if you're going to actually put people on Mars, you have to have a water source.
Why wouldn't we go to the moon first? Isn't that strategically better to set up a situation there? Because they're going to have to do it artificially at first.
Sure.
Until they get everything, Well,
look, I think the moon is just a stepping stone to give us the ability to go to other planets and other places.
I think it's a stepping stone to control what's going on on Earth.
I don't think you need the moon for that. I think the satellite system is more than sufficient to do that.
You're going to avoid yourself of the satellite system because the people on the moon will control those.
But it's so hard to go ahead and bring stuff to the moon for your population. You're going to sit there. Put there, it's going to be really difficult to resupply.
How easy is it going to be to supply Mars, which is a lot further away?
You're not going to supply Mars. You're going to explore Mars.
Well, you're going to explore it and figure out how it becomes self-sufficient.
Yeah, the only way you could ever colonize Mars is if you had a self-sufficient.
Strategically,
you can't resupply.
I'm
Mars.
just saying the moon is in the right spot for the next person that wants to control the world.
I don't think so.
China.
You could blow it away.
Okay. You won't have any guidance. You won't have any guidance from the satellites though, because they're under the moon. They're not that far out.
You couldn't miss it if you sent something towards it.
Yeah.
But it would be bad if you did that because there would be no more tides and everything would flood.
I know it would be bad.
It'd be bad,
and the fishing would be probably off too. Somewhat.
I think it would improve.
No, you think so?
Yeah.
All right. So, okay. What else do you want to talk about? How about golf? I want golf. Hey, golf.
I was going to talk about Israel, but golf is okay.
All right, we'll talk about Israel in a minute here. Yeah, and we got a picture of that you might enjoy, and I am playing this for you. Turn that around.
Oh yeah, I see that.
Yeah.
Oh. I won.
Unless you're our age, you can't appreciate that.
I know that. I know. All right, let's keep going. Wait. The other couple guys here that you might know of. One especially. Oh, yeah.
Knee replacement and swing like that.
Yeah.
It's really
Well, I should watch somebody who's older than him. I think. How old is what's his name?
Gary Player.
Gary Player. How old is he?
Gary Player, I think, is 88. He's certainly in his late 80s.
Then look at that swing. And look at this guy. Who you know that guy, don't you?
This guy can still play.
Yeah. Yeah.
We played in the high school golf tournament here in Missouri.
Now there's a.
He's a little younger than I am.
Yeah. Oh, he's like 70 maybe.
He's 75, I think, or 6.
I don't fall down.
Okay. Well, I guess he'd have to be around you. Okay.
Yeah.
Which is interesting because it brings us back to playing golf with you on Tuesday, which is pretty interesting. And so it got to the point. I remember the third hole. He puts the ball. It's like a 115-yard shot, according to the wind and stuff like that. So he puts it about 10 feet from the hole.
Yeah.
And I said, do me a favor. He says, what's that? Go mark your ball. So what happened?
I just knocked it in.
What happened?
I don't remember.
Yes, you don't remember. Of course you don't remember because I hit your ball.
You did hit my ball.
I hit your ball.
And you know what?
I moved you even closer. Did you go back?
I didn't.
No.
I didn't replace it where it was supposed to be.
I was going right for the hole.
I just put it.
I told you to. I told you to.
Hey, I'm out in the fairway. I'm not going to go mark that ball.
All right, and then we get to the 18th hole.
Yeah.
I wasn't playing that good, but it's like I play. Okay.
Yeah.
I wasn't horrible, but I wasn't good until the last hole. We're having trouble because you're in the tall grass, and it's hard to hit out of the tall grass. And they haven't had a chance to mow it yet. That's understandable.
That's rough.
It's rough.
Yeah.
I mean, it's like major rough. And so I get on. I'm like 50 yards away, and I'm down the slope, and I can't see what's going to happen other than the pin is
That's
up
a
there.
blind pin.
It's a blind pin. You don't really know.
Yeah.
And I'm estimating what I'm going to have to hit. So I hit a 9-iron, obviously shorthanded 9-iron, and it felt pretty good. And you're saying, I think you're going to be in good shape. So we're walking up there, and I'm like 3 inches from the hole.
Yeah, I almost went in.
All right, almost went in. So
Yeah.
I parred the hole.
Yeah.
And so you're way down there.
Yeah,
You're off the green.
I'm on the front edge.
You're on the front
40
edge.
foot putt, straight
But
uphill.
you have to go way uphill.
Yeah.
And you got to really hit it.
Yeah.
So he hits it pretty hard, and sure enough, I wanted to pull the flag to be nice, but if I did that ball would have been over the green. Instead, it hits the pole, goes straight down.
That may be an exaggeration, but let's just say it went in for birdie.
No, it hit the pole.
It did.
Yeah, that was pretty good on that hole because that was not easy. That's not an easy par 5 anymore.
I will say that was my 4th birdie of the day, so it wasn't all bad.
Yeah. We drank some whiskey.
We did.
All right. So let's talk about Israel till my next guest. Is he on?
He's on the phone.
Oh, is he on the phone?
Yep.
Okay. Well, you're welcome to stay, but
By the way,
sure. What?
we have an announcement that you
Yeah.
need to hold up and make.
Oh, okay.
Can you hear me?
Do you know this person, Pastor Pat Maxwell? Okay, so
Sounds kind of similar.
you want to make the announcement?
No, go ahead. And
Before I leave, could
Here.
I
Yeah.
just say don't forget about The Last Buffalo. It releases next week, and it's a really nice story.
Yes, it is, and it's his
Congratulations.
story, even though he doesn't want it to be. And
It's
we
American
have
history.
It's American history, but it's also your history, which is very interesting, by the way. Anyways, I don't think they can see that.
It's not a.
Okay, why don't you just
It's
tell
not
them?
a great
Read
quality,
it to them.
Sorry.
Read it to them.
So, turn myself up here for everybody that wants to see Rabbi Moshe. He is going to be at City of Light and Life Ministries. Can appear on Sunday, May 18th. So not this Sunday, which is Mother's Day, but the following Sunday at 3:00.
Yeah.
The address is here. Refreshments will be following. They can get a hold of my mom on her cell phone, 573-263-0486 for more information. But Rabbi Moshe will be in person again on May 18th at 3:00, a week from this Sunday.
Yeah, all right. And let's hear it for Bob Willis, who did a great job today, and you'll be back. You'll be back. All right, we'll talk about some other BS. No, most of it, very good conversation. I appreciate you, and say hi to Jack for me, all right? And we'll get Jack back on the team.
Yeah, he needs to do a little more rehab work, and I think probably in a month or so he might even be back on the golf.
Jack is 88 years old.
He is.
All right, so I learned a lot from him too.
Yeah, he's definitely one of the best people.
Yeah.
And my mom is 87 today.
Oh, let's switch. Wait, how about that?
Happy birthday to
Today?
Happy birthday.
Happy birthday to your mom.
Thank you.
I knew it was sometime this week.
You're right on top of stuff. You know that, right?
Yeah, I know. I know. You're lying again. All right, I know that. All right. Thanks a lot, buddy. Appreciate it. Okay, so we have a kind of a mystery man on the phone whose family is connected to Hill 51 in Nevada in the 37th latitude with sightings of space aliens all over the world, and Musk's rush to occupy Mars. He's got concepts of all of that. And so I want you to welcome Richard C. Lockwood. There he is. All right. So you're wearing a Trump hat. Okay. I have a beautiful head, however. So I'm
And large.
and a large head. Yeah, actually, I've stuffed myself with so much information over the years that I actually have a big head. So anyhow,
well, good morning.
How
Dave.
are you?
Good morning, Lisa.
Good
morning,
morning.
JP.
Good morning.
Good morning.
Good morning.
And how are you doing today? I know you had a little doctor's appointment yesterday.
Look, my grandpa used to say the first 100 years are the toughest.
Yeah. All right. Well, that's good. That's good that you got that in your family. You got that in your family. That's pretty good. How old are you now? About 110?
At least.
And you're still on Social Security. How about that? So why is Musk so intent on occupying Mars? We discussed this a little bit, but
let me focus on Mars a little bit.
Yes, please do.
And I believe that we're kind of standing on the edge of a discovery that could redefine the universe and our place in it. So, for decades, we've scanned the Martian surface through our telescopes.
Yeah.
And recently we've sent up orbiters and ground-based rovers. You're familiar with that, right?
Yeah.
Anyway, we've studied the geology of Mars, its atmosphere, and all that's. There's even water on the poles.
So there's water on there is fresh water or drinkable water on the poles. Now, what does that mean? The North Pole of Mars?
Yeah, North and South Pole.
North and South Pole.
Frozen water. And
okay.
Like our moon does. Our
moon
has the same.
Now, how much colder is it in Mars generally?
Considerably colder.
So they have to go and build stuff they can live in. Is that right?
Right.
First.
But, they're thinking that at one time, Mars was a much warmer place.
Huh.
But anyway, recent high-resolution images from satellites have showed images of anomalies on the Martian surface. And now, for those who don't know, anomalies are like things that shouldn't be there.
Right. You expect it to be just dirt, maybe some water, and that's about it, right?
Well, yeah, we found structures that appear to be constructed by intelligent life.
Okay.
And there's structures that look like pyramids, rectangular portal doors in the side of cliffs, all kinds of symmetrical formations that shouldn't be there. And NASA scientists told us not to jump to conclusions.
Why did they say that?
But I say
they know, right?
We need to investigate it quickly.
They know, don't they?
Yeah. Here's the truth, Dave. Satellite data and photos can only take us so far. We need to send humans to Mars.
Yeah, and that's
Elon Musk knows this.
Okay, as a strategy, though, the problem with this is that the one that gets to the moon first and populates that is going to control everything underneath it, including the Earth, isn't it?
It's kind of a double play here, because Mars might hold something a lot more valuable than the moon as a base for space wars and that type of thing. Mars might hold something much more valuable.
Like what?
But anyway, I'll get to that.
They got
Elon's vision for human presence on Mars isn't just a whim. He actually wants to be the first man to explore the ruins.
Yeah. So he knows all about this, right?
Yeah. He's made plans with President Trump already to create a human base on the red planet.
Wow.
So we could possibly answer the greatest question of all that people want to know: are we alone?
I think that, I think people don't think that anymore. I think they understand that the likelihood of us being alone is almost infinitely disproved, because they have so many other systems and planets out there that are comparable to Earth, that the chances that we're alone is almost diminished to nothing.
Well, the chances of life are really great out there.
Yeah.
The chances of intelligent life are substantially smaller.
That's a good point, though. But are we intelligent life, or is there other people and or living things out there that are smarter than us? And if so,
there's a possibility that we're it.
There's now, if you're a religious guy, as you are, and I'm semi-religious in two different religions, you believe that God is in charge of all of us and everything in the universe.
There's a creator. Yeah, definitely.
Yeah. So he would. Do you think he would have communicated that at a certain point, or is he doing it now?
Well, let me just back up a second. We're talking about structures on Mars.
Yes.
We're not necessarily talking about aliens from different galaxies.
Okay.
It could be, and it probably is, ourselves traveling in time.
Okay.
But that we could go there sometime else. Just imagine for a moment.
We don't have time.
Just imagine for a moment the first American astronaut standing next to the Martian ruins.
Yeah.
Brushing off the dust off the evidence.
We could have had that already.
Well, kind of.
Yeah.
That would be really huge. I mean, that image would make America great.
I mean, we have had spaceships of our own go to Mars. And
but
plural.
not manned.
But okay, but they can take pictures. And they could have taken, they've taken pictures of this, right?
Oh, yeah.
And so have they been shared with anybody?
NASA, well, yes, we've seen them. But NASA downplays them.
Why would downplays them to what?
It tells us not to jump to conclusions. Tells us that these could be just anomalous figures. But some of the angles, some of the sharpness of these images tell us that it was constructed by intelligent beings.
Well, you're talking about pyramids, and if you go all over our world, there are pyramids in a lot of different countries. Egypt, for one, and they have really interesting stuff in these pyramids. And they're still finding out things about what's under the pyramids in this world. Mexico and Brazil, was it? Which other place has pyramids? Egypt. Well, yeah, I said that one already.
Mexico, South America, Central America.
Central America.
Central America, and there's even pyramidal type shapes here in North America.
Really? Where?
Some of the Indians in the Southwest created them.
Okay, well, you have to wonder about that, especially if they're in the 37th parallel, right?
Right.
What the hell?
Well, anyway,
tell people quickly what the 37th parallel is.
Well, that happens to be a section of Earth where a lot of UFO activity is going on. And that portion of the world seems to give off a strong magnetic current. So we don't know. know a lot about it, but there's a huge sighting almost every year of UFO activity.
Yeah, of which I saw. I swear.
So
up close.
A manned expedition to Mars is a necessity.
Yeah,
because there might be advanced technology waiting for us on Mars.
You know, I would have volunteered for that, but I heard, I heard the government told me, yeah, we ran out of space. Sorry.
Well, we can't sit back and let China or Russia discover it first.
I agree. I could have been Elon's co-pilot.
Here,
right?
You want me to talk about some of those artificial structures?
Yeah.
Okay. First of all, listen to this one. This one tickles me. On the rim of a crater on a moon of Mars, it's called Phobos.
Yeah.
Is a large upright rectangular object standing straight up in the air.
Yeah.
And it was publicly acknowledged by one of the astronauts, I think Aldrin.
Uh-huh.
Buzz Aldrin. And it looks very much like the one in the movie 2001.
Oh, yeah?
A Space Odyssey. Yeah. A monolith standing straight up on Phobos, a moon of Mars.
And when did Alden say this?
Oh, geez. When did he say it?
1960s, 70s?
Yeah, but it was like late 60s.
Okay.
And the second thing that's around the Martian area is a face structure on the Cydonia plain. And now, it was first seen in 1976 by Viking 1, which was an orbiter that was the United States sent up to take pictures of Mars.
Uh-huh.
So it appears to be a human face. It resembles the Sphinx in Egypt.
There you go. That's incredible. And there's so much.
I sent you a picture of that on Facebook.
Yeah.
I don't know if you're able to show your audience, but it's incredible.
Give me a second, I'll check.
Okay, when did you send this?
Maybe a couple weeks ago.
Okay, well, I don't think I've seen it.
Was it in Messenger?
What's that?
Was it in Facebook Messenger?
Messenger, yes.
Okay, I'll check real quick.
All right.
So
that's going to be Meta, right?
Yes.
Yeah, it's Meta.
Then there's another one called the Pyramid.
Yeah.
And it was found in the 1970s.
There you are.
By looking at pictures taken by one of the Viking probes, too. And it's a 5-sided pyramid.
Yeah.
It sharp angles.
And there it is. There it is.
Put this thing down on Earth, you'd say,
what the hell is that?
It's another pyramid, like Egyptian pyramid.
Okay, I'm looking at it right now.
Let me share the screen so everybody else.
This is amazing. You got to see this. Hey, get back on if you're getting off. This is great. This is history. This is on Mars. It looks like a person with sticking his tongue out at us. His face is there, and I don't see anything else other than these black things on it. Maybe it's rock. But explain where this is, sir.
This is on a plane that they've named Cydonia.
Cydonia, okay.
On Mars.
Yeah. So this got 2 eyes, a nose, 2 nostrils, maybe hair, and a tongue and a mouth with lips. Wow.
The whole ball of wax.
So, I mean, that would be something that would obviously be examined and probably with the finding of a lot of other stuff there.
Oh,
I mean, that's incredible.
And NASA, like I said, downplays this thing.
Yeah.
They sent other photos of it that looked like you're looking at a sandbox. But when you look at it from the angle that it was taken, it resembles the Sphinx.
How about the Peru deal where they have all these like landing zones on this cliff in Peru, and
You're talking about the Nazca lines,
huh?
Yeah. Okay, and they have like
it's like a landing field
yes.
for planes. Only this is like ancient.
You've been listening to Ancient Aliens too, huh?
Yeah.
Right.
Now, yeah. I've seen.
Yeah,
I bet I've seen
sure.
it a long time ago too. And the wonder is that these are ancient, and yet it was way before airplanes were invented. Here, this is thousands of years ago. They have landing fields that from the air you can see them.
It's crazy. There is an interplay between human beings and maybe future human beings.
Yeah, which possibly has resonated in your claim that there is time travel, that Tesla, who died in 1943, interestingly enough, now has a car company named after him, and also part of the Trump family, which was what's his name? The other Trump, Fred,
Dr. John.
huh? John.
Dr.
Yeah,
Trump?
yeah, John, who got a bunch of the papers that Tesla, thousands and thousands and thousands of papers that he had written about time travel, bending,
Oh yeah,
bending
and
the time.
Not only that, but he had like what he called a death ray.
Yeah,
it was the first like laser weaponry.
Right.
And not only that, he had technology that he claimed could render planes and ships invisible, like a cloaking device.
Wow. So, and that's all of that. This is 1943. Hell, we're 80 years away from that. So now we probably have the tools that already have these things, right?
sure.
They're already in battle, and hopefully the United States has the best part of these. Okay.
Yeah.
So-
Let me mention one other.
Yes.
On Mars, it's called the Cliffside doorway. So it was found in 1922 by the Curiosity rover. You know, one of those little rover type vehicles.
1922.
Yeah, 1922.
Yeah.
It's now rover found a rectangular door about 30 by 40 centimeters. It looks exactly like a door leading into a cliff.
Yeah.
And the angles are sharp, 90-degree angles.
Yeah.
And
where's this at? Is this on Earth or on Mars?
This is on Mars.
Yeah. Okay.
They named it the Gale Crater. There's a mountain called Mount Sharp. I read about that. And there's a doorway. And I encourage your listeners to do a little research of their own on this. So they call it the Cliffside doorway.
All right, you've got homework. This guy's giving you homework.
Yeah.
All right.
Yeah.
Say it again. What should they be looking up?
Okay. If you really want to find out more about this,
I'm trying to figure out why you keep disappearing. You got a great act right there. There you go, right there.
Oh, talk about something else for a second.
Okay, the Pope.
The Pope.
You are Catholic, and you are you're sitting there, and for all you know, the white smoke has come out, and you're the guy. All right, but you told me another guy, and you told me a little something about him.
They were thinking about electing a guy by the name of Cardinal Sokola.
Yeah,
from Bolivia.
Uh-huh.
But they voted him down because they couldn't take a papacy from a cardinal, Pope Sokola.
Pope Sicoli.
Pope Sokola.
Pepsi-Cola.
No,
That's
no
pretty funny.
Pepsi-Cola.
I don't care who. Give him a little applause for that. Come on. All right. Keep going now.
Anyway, there's a book called The Case for the Face.
The Case for the Face.
The Case for the Face.
Okay.
And it talks about why the face on Mars is artificially constructed.
Yeah.
The Case for the Face. And good book. And I was talking about the Cliffside doorway.
Right.
So, you would look that one up. It was found in 1922 by the Curiosity rover.
Now, wait a minute. It was found on Mars? We had something on Mars in 1922?
Yeah, a rover. It's like a golf cart.
Well, how did we get it there?
We brought it there with a rocket.
Wow, in 1922? I didn't think they had that kind of...
They dropped it with parachutes and the whole bit.
Yeah?
But they got it going, and it roamed all over Mars, taking pictures. And this is one of the pictures that they took.
Wow. Well, that's amazing. All right, what else you got?
Well, let's see. Hey, I don't know if some of you might have missed this, but the United States has just made a major economic deal with the United Kingdom.
We've been talking about it all day.
All right.
Yeah, and that's a good thing. What's the market? I haven't been watching the market at all, but it's supposed to be up.
The stock market is going to shoot today.
The futures were way up.
Oh yeah.
So hopefully it stays that way.
As these deals come in,
yeah,
I'll tell you, this is a great time to buy into the stock market.
Well,
because there's going to be
it's an even better time to buy low, like some of us have done. Trying to guess the bottom of some of these things, and watching that grow, even if it's up and down right now, and because it always goes up. If you look at it, this is your advice today. Your financial advice is don't sell in a bad time. Try to figure out the bottom, buy then, and just hold them forever,
Dave,
or whatever you want to do.
That the United States announces an agreement with another country, a trade agreement,
yeah,
you're going to see that market react positively.
Well,
and it's only the first.
I know, and we're having a celebration because it's been badmouthed so many times by the Democrats. It's ridiculous. Now, what are they going to say?
Something else.
Yeah, what's that?
Trump is actually thinking about putting us on the gold standard. And not in the same way that you would think. Kind of digitized gold.
Uh-oh.
Yeah. So
hopefully the dollars will be traded for that. Okay. That'll be interesting. So other than Dave Weinbaum Show, where can people find and buy your book?
Okay, that as I said before, the book is a poem, The Ballad of Donald J. Trump, and it can be purchased at Amazon.com. It could be purchased at BarnesandNoble.com.
And you're writing another book too, right?
I'm writing two other ones. One is going to be released this summer, and it's A is for America. It's for families who homeschool. And another one is a time travel novel using all of the elements that I've brought up in your program.
No, I don't know if you knew this or not, but the biggest fans of loafers are heels. Ladies and gentlemen, my friend, oh my God, he give me crickets. I don't care. even him was looking down. Oh, yeah. All right. Hey, do Eddie Murphy quick. Do Eddie Murphy.
What do you know from funny, you bastard?
There you go. Now go put your hat on because you're going to be the Pope. Okay.
Hey, I got to tell you before I go. I got to tell you about what my wife got me aside. She said, "Hey, Rick, we got to talk about the kids." I said, "What's wrong with the kids?" She goes, "They're spoiled." I said, "Oh no, all kids smell like that."
All right, we're gonna end on your better joke.
Okay.
I hate when that happens. I hate it. All right, but I don't hate you. You're a good guy. We'll talk again. All right.
All right. Take care.
Thank you, my friend. Okay, we got a minute and 20 to go. Pastor Pat had something on there for me, I think, or somebody was on there.
It was a long comment for Chris talking about his comment about rhinos and how he was in complete agreement with him on that. So
okay, all right, that's fine. Okay, so we're about ready to leave. We got a minute left, roughly. So let me see if I can have any new things. New Texas city called Starbase. I had it written down. And that's where Elon's moving his factories. Bibi threatens to level Gaza if hostages not released next week. Elon Musk has invented flying cars. Planned Parenthood now doing pro-trans stuff. And I better stop there because I'm going to miss my deadline, which is 20 seconds from now. I want to thank everybody who was on the show today, and I want to thank the people that came in on a Thursday, which is an unusual spot for us. And I want to tell you I'm going to be back next Friday with another show. Have a great weekend. Thanks.